Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, from episode 1 all the way to now, from Iron Man to today's Endgame, we, the Hat Crew, have covered all of the movies, including Captain Marvel. And that was actually a very good discussion. We were able to acknowledge there was some entertainment value, and we were able to acknowledge that there was some very serious flaws. And this movie is also no different. This movie has flaws. This movie is not as good as a lot of people seem to think. I mean, entertaining, sure. A lot of problems, though. And we are going to cover all that. And also, as I have said in the Captain Marvel one last week, different opinions are welcome. You are allowed to have a different opinion. If you have a different opinion, share that motherfucker in the chat or in the panel if you are on the panel. And so, yes, also, folks, make sure to avenge that like button and stay tuned because I will announce it right now as well as at the end. But I do want to announce it right now because next week, because this is the last of the Infinity Saga Sundays, we are beginning the Book of Wick next Sunday. Starting with, obviously, Chapter 1. You killed my dog and you stole my car. And so, yes, the next Sunday streams are going to be Book of Wick Sundays, and I will have a playlist set up for that, and we will watch these movies, we will discuss these movies, and we will have fun doing it, and all that jazz. And if I'm able to, I will put these on the screen for you, scene by scene, like I do with the singles with Mara. By the way, folks, my next Tuesday theme stream is Son of Batman. So make sure you stay tuned. Also, the next month's theme stream is military versus extraterrestrials, aliens versus military. And it's not in the order that I put on Twitter. I am still thinking of which order to do. I might do Battle Los Angeles first because that is such a great movie. And it's going to be at 1:30 p.m. If anybody wants to join, because I'm actually thinking about bringing some people on for this. If people want to join it, let me know. I can amend the timetable if I need to, but it has to be Tuesday. Because, well, Tuesday theme streams. So, with that out of the way, Jacob, anything to plug before we get started?
Just head over to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000. I'm over 910, so I'm just barely there. If anyone would like to come on over and subscribe, that would be really helpful to me. I really appreciate it. All of Orange Hat, ever since I started coming on MCU Sundays, and I know I've missed a few, your audience who have come to watch my videos, they've been nothing but nice and have been very complimentary and whatnot. So I really appreciate the opportunity you gave me to do MCU Sundays because your audience, like I said, has been fantastic. The ones who have come over to watch my videos as well.
I'm glad that they have found you, buddy, because he is worthy of support, folks. Jake is good people.
Well, thank you.
So now
can confirm I've recently subscribed and I like your videos.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Alrighty. And there. So, alrighty. So we're now going to get started. And make sure that you avenge that like button, folks. Smash the like, share the stream out. Let people know what we are doing and discussing. Happy day to you, Vanya. And happy day to Happy Dino. So, yes, thank you all for tuning in. And stay tuned for the end where I give my announcement for the next Sunday streams. So, the beginning of this movie starts rather simple. It is Barton's family. He's still on house arrest. He can't go beyond the perimeter of his home. And he's teaching his daughter how to shoot. And that's nice. That's pretty cool. Nice little family stuff. And little Pietro, Nathaniel Pietro rather, doesn't want mayonnaise or mustard on his hot dog. How about ketchup? That's a cute little thing because she's like, I love what the daughter says. It's like, who puts mustard or who puts mayonnaise on a hot dog? But then we realize after she does a nice bullseye shot, she goes to get her arrow, and Clint looks over there after his wife yells out that dinner's ready, and you see that there's actually dust floating in the wind where she was just once standing. So we all know what happened. And then we see, if you watch it in 4K, you notice that where his kids and wife were standing, it's dust on the ground where they were standing, much like what happened with Bucky. It's very dark in those spots. So you know what happened, but Clint doesn't. And it's just as eerily quiet as the end of Infinity War, where everybody was dying and there was no music. So what did you guys think of that scene when this is basically the birth of Ronin?
You know, I liked the family dynamics, but I wish we had Hawkeye in the last Avengers film, just because, you know, we had Cap, who was on the run, and all these other people who were supposedly in prison, or who were in prison and then either broken out or whatever. And I feel like he could have gotten out of his house arrest and been like, well, I was fighting the big bad guy who attacked Wakanda. Like, what do you want me to do? But I did like the introduction to Ronin, as far as like, oh my god, my whole family disappeared. However, there wasn't a payoff for me as far as Ronin. We see one scene with Ronin, and then we just see him like, I don't deserve to be saved. We didn't get that full completion of his story, if that makes sense. I think the Avengers really kind of did Hawkeye dirty. We get him in 10 seconds in Thor, and we get him a little bit in Avengers, as if like we had introduced his whole character, and they really hadn't. And then we get this storyline, which to me honestly didn't get a full payoff. And that's just my opinion. Like, a lot of people like him and like his story, and I do agree. I like the Ronin story. I like Hawkeye's story, but Hawkeye was really done dirty in this whole series, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, Jacob?
I thought it was good intro. I think that I do agree that, yes, he should have been in Infinity War, but since he wasn't, I'll say that this was a good way to say, oh, that's where he went. To me, it does set up a little bit better why he went so rogue, because he wasn't part of the big battles. It's just, and which they didn't explore this in the movie. I wish they had. There's probably some survivor's guilt with that, right? So he wasn't even a part of the battle, but his family is still the casualty. I do wish that they would have explored that a little bit better. But
Yes.
Other than that, I do think it's a good intro. It hits you right in the gut, and it prepares you for what's coming.
It's good points. Yeah.
You're late.
Shame. Shame.
I had, well,
Just kidding.
my parents were very upset, so basically we had a little spat about where I was going to have this, and so in the end I was like, fine, I'll go in the basement. So I had to set up my stuff in the basement.
That's okay then. All right, you got a good excuse. Excuses. This is the film that gave us Perhaps I Treated You Too Harshly and I Am Inevitable. Yeah.
So if you hear rustling, technically I am laying down, so...
Well, you are a cat, so. But anyway, you came in, we just covered Clint's family getting dusted. What did you think of the beginning of the scene, or the beginning of scene where his family gets dusted and he doesn't know what's going on?
It was all very sad and very dramatic, much like the ending of Infinity War, and like, I kind of related to him in that moment because, it's just like, yeah, it doesn't know what's going on. And then, it's one of those blink and you miss it type things. Like 1 minute they're there, 1 minute they're not. So it's just like, I was just like, oh God, no.
Yeah. So, now let me get my phone back on because damn thing just went off. Alrighty, so next is Stark and Nebula are getting the Benatar fixed or doing some scraping work on it. And they're also playing around. He's teaching her how to enjoy herself, how to have fun, because, well, we all know that Nebula is not a fun person. And we get the tear-jerking last will and testament of Stark, I guess, where he's talking to Potts. And then he gets saved by, this sparkly, shiny thing out in space named Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel with an uglier haircut.
Yeah. And with her shoulder pauldron, her gold shoulder pauldrons on her suit, which is an upgrade, I guess. And so then we see Cap shaving. They come back to Earth, or she basically guides the Benatar back to Earth. And a lot of people don't realize, because I actually got corrected on this, that is the name of the newer ship, because the first ship was called the Milano, and, well, Alyssa Milano. And the new one is called the Benatar, after Pat Benatar, the singer. And a great singer she is. So then they get to Earth, and he's like, or I couldn't stop him, neither could I. And he's like, I lost the kid. It's like, Tony, we lost. And he's like, or she just shows up, and he's like, oh, thank God. And that's when Rocket sits next to Nebula, and they both hold hands because they're the only two survivors out of that group. And remember, folks, Rocket is more freaking traumatized because Groot's last words to him was Dad. And that is the biggest freaking tearjerk.
Oh yeah, and the fact that this is basically like a reincarnation of his friend who also died. It's just like you're losing him all over again.
Right?
Right, and
yeah, it does. And so we get the debriefing where we see several people dying. We learn that Selvig died as a result of Thanos. Shuri and or Shuri from Wakanda has also died. And also Captain
King.
Yeah, Captain Marvel is also noticing that Fury was dusted, as well as Maria Hill, and she actually shows she shows that she is hurt. A lot of people, we gave Captain Marvel a fair shake last week, folks, and we have said she does show emotion in some of those scenes, and she does show emotion in this scene where she shows that she is saddened to see that Fury died.
Like 10% more emotion than usual. I'm just gonna be straight. Like, okay, Brie Larson's not horrid actress, but she's not a very good one. She's like a below average.
She works best with kids.
She would be better. Like, she was great in The Room, and she was okay. She was pretty good in 21 Jump Street.
I guess she's good when she's only working with so many people.
I like her in Unicorn Store. She actually directed that too. I've got no complaints. That's a good film. It's fun.
Quiet. We don't talk about that.
I've heard that movie. I've heard that movie makes you high. Is it true?
Yes.
It's an acid trip.
It's if you just have popcorn and beer, you're gonna have a good time. That's the kind of movie.
Acid trip, like Yellow Submarine, Beatles movie Acid Trip, or
I would
no, not that bad.
And watch that movie.
I was gonna say more like an edible film.
More like maybe is it like Willy's Wonderland kind of trippy?
Definitely not. More like, I don't really know how to compare it because it is kind of unique, but very like I said, it's a good, fun movie if you're just bored and you want to have a good time. It's fun to laugh at. That's basically the gist of it.
Is it one of those movies that if you treat it as a joke, it's entertaining, but if you treat
Yes.
it as if it's serious, it's bad?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
and yes.
okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
That makes sense.
And so then we get, let's see here. We learn that Cap, or not Cap, but, God damn it. Tony's anger, or Tony, is being basically debriefed on all the stuff that happened on Earth. And he hears, I love what he says to Rocket, because Rocket is, starts talking. He's like, honestly, right up to this moment, I thought you were a Build-A-Bear. Maybe I am.
I mean,
And-
technically, like in a morbid sense, he technically is a Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, right? And so then,
But we don't learn that till later.
Yeah.
You know. But yes.
and so then he goes off on Cap because he's like, Tony, you fought him. Who taught you that? I didn't fight him. No, he wiped my face with a planet, and while the Bleecker Street magician gave away the store. I mean, the way that Tony acts this, where he is just fucking terrified, and he is basically, he's like, there's no way that we can beat him. He's unbeatable. He even says, he's like, I didn't fight him. He's unbeatable. You can't fight him. I mean, this is Tony who basically did everything he could and came up short. And half the universe paid the price. Tony has the biggest guilt right here. And he even said it. You know, I saw this coming. I thought it was a vision. I was wrong. And what I said was that we needed a suit of armor around the world, despite, or whether or not it impacted our precious freedoms. But, you know, we're the Avengers, not the Prevengers. And he then says to Captain Marvel, you're great. We need you. You're new blood. And I got nothing for you, a bunch of tired old mules. And he's like, I got nothing for you, Cap. You said we'd lose, or I said we'd lose. You said we'll do that together. Well, guess what, Cap? We lost, and you weren't there. And he even goes right up to Cap. Nothing, zero, nada, zip, zero, not a liar. And then he just yanks his freaking thing off, his nanotech
And
component.
he like collapses, and he's
And
very
yeah, he collapses out.
emaciated.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dude who literally spent 21 days in space with very little food, water, and whatnot. So, yeah.
And I really enjoyed the scene between him and Nebula. Like, that whole montage I thought was really sweet. We got to see a softer side of Nebula. Their little game of like paper football was great. You know, like, it gave these little moments, these little scenes, and then this emotional scene coming after it. They did a really good job in the beginning of like pacing the depth of half the universe dying, and we're only seeing the scope of it affecting one planet.
Yeah.
And later Captain Marvel says this is happening across all planets, you know, like this isn't
Yeah.
just an issue here, but just these little moments of, you know, Cap and Iron Man having an argument, you know, like these scenes are really well paced, of like the opening, and then their really sweet moment in the ship, like knowing that they're gonna die, them being rescued, and then them dealing with the aftermath. I thought this was a great opening, like 20-30 minutes of the film, of just kind of setting the stage of like, okay, what are we dealing with now? I have really enjoyed this.
Like, what are we going to do?
Right, like it's basically a big what now?
Yeah. And so we find out that there's or after he collapses, we get the Captain Marvel's about to go. Now, that shot where she starts walking out where you don't see her face, that's her butt double. I still can't believe that they had to get a butt double for this woman.
They should have just put Scarlett Johansson as her butt double.
Yeah, but she was also in the scene. And she goes and she's like...
They could have CGI'd it and clipped it and whatnot, but...
Or they could have CGI'd an ass on her, but hey, if you got a butt double, you got a butt double.
No,
I know.
no,
Literally, all you
CG
need to do is to go to the adult store and then get one of those foam butts and then put it underneath the suit.
Here's the thing though
Riot?
about the CGI butt. Here's the thing about the CGI butt. I just watched the Flash movie for the first time. No, do not CGI a butt. Don't do it.
Yeah, good point.
Don't.
Yeah, that
Riot,
does sound like a bad idea.
how do you know where to get one of those? What have you been doing?
And it's not what I've been doing, but what my friends have been doing. I'm just gonna say that.
Right. But I will give this to Brie Larson. She's been on her YouTube channel where she was doing that that workout thing so that she could build up her ass. And
she needs to do more RDLs. No, she wasn't doing enough RDLs.
Yeah, because apparently frick, what's his name? He was part of the fart of the pole Aussie. Part of the full Aussie. Lyndon.
Part of the full
Yeah,
Aussie.
I know. Yeah, I know.
That should be a name of a stream right there.
Yeah, part of the full Aussie.
I was like, what are you talking?
Lyndon Hall, he actually did cover Bootygate, so yeah. So she did a good, or apparently she now has an ass. So but anyway, they're like, or where are you going? To kill Thanos. Well, we realize up there is more your territory, but it is still our fight. Do you even know where he is? I know some people who might. Don't bother. I know where he is. And so she tells him, he's like, he would always say one thing, to the garden. Great. Thanos has a retirement plan. Now, I cannot get out of my head that the fact that this Rhodey in this continuity is a Skrull. This is bullshit. I'm telling you that right now. It's bullshit.
In my mind,
confirmed that he's been a Skrull since then?
Yes. They
Yeah,
confirmed
Secret
it in the
Invasion,
secret.
The basic premise doesn't even make sense because previously they established that the Skrulls were good guys or nice people.
Exactly.
Correct.
Well, and also,
Weird.
Rhodey bleeds red in Endgame. He doesn't bleed green. So
Yes,
They
and
can
anytime
copy
he
you
gets
down-
hurt, he should
can
have
copy
turned
you
back
down
into
to
a
the end.
Skrull.
Yeah.
They
Bingo.
completely
true.
retconned. They retconned the shit out of it. Because was he a Skrull in Civil War then when he got his legs? Like when
Yeah. Or after, or I don't know the full extent, but
wait, so he's been a Skrull as far back as Civil War?
Yes.
Wow,
He was a Skrull.
they need to
They
stay
fucked
on
up.
strike. The writers. need to
yes.
stay
Well,
Thank
wait a minute.
you.
Okay, wait a minute. Civil War? Wouldn't that mean like the Skrull transformation just like when he got
Yeah,
hurt?
he should have
right?
changed back to a Skrull.
Well, yeah, he
because they
should have
established
changed
that they
back.
still-
because,
Multiple
it happened in
times.
Captain Marvel.
Multiple
Yeah,
times.
when
He
the
should have
Skrulls
turned back
got
into a
hurt.
Skrull multiple times. They
Yeah, and Captain
retconned the
Marvel
whole
can
thing.
sense Skrulls, so she should have been able to tell that he was a Skrull to begin with.
Correct.
Well, she
Oh
Correct.
can't,
my gosh.
she
It's
can't
so
sense
bad.
them. She
Secret
knows.
Invasion
or-
is not canon. I second the motion.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not canon. I refuse to. I only watched.
That's freaking stupid.
I never watched the show, but I watched Disparu's breakdown of it, and I refuse to admit that that's canon.
Oh, you're
It's
lucky. I watched
garbage.
all of it. You should read my review. It was awful.
Okay, I'll watch your reviews. Yeah.
I saw
Alright.
images. I saw awful images of the Super Skrull in Nick Fury, and that's about it. That's all.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say though is all of like Rhodey's comments where he's like, "Can't we just go back in time and like kill baby Thanos?"
Yeah.
Like those moments, I was like, "Yeah, Rhodey," and now I'm like, "Wait, so that was a Skrull saying we should like go back in time and just like kill him?" I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it would
I
make
don't-
sense for something like that. But getting back to it, we then see that they found where Thanos is. And he's like, 20 odd days ago, Earth was ground zero for a cosmic radiation storm that are of universal proportions. And it shows the effect of the snap going out. And we have never seen anything since. Until 2 days ago, on this planet, the same signature. And so they found out he used the stones again. And they're all talking, and that she's going to chime in. And it's like, well, how do we know that it's not going to be the same as it was before? Because before you didn't have me. Yo, new girl, all of us here are about that hero life. And if you don't mind me asking, where the hell have you been all this time? And so she gives her little jackass answer.
Also,
It's like, there are a lot of places
she
in the
acts like
universe.
she's stronger than like every single person. Like they pulled everyone, like Scarlet Witch, like in they had everybody fighting this war during
Mhm.
Infinity War, and she shows up and she's like, I wasn't there, so like I could save the day. Like, shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
Well,
And-
it's kind of funny. People were mad at What If because What If confirmed Thor is stronger than her.
Yep.
And everyone was really ticked. All the well, I don't know what her fan club is called. All the Brie Larson simps were really angry about that.
Brie bots. The Brie bots.
The Brie bots.
Yeah, the Brie
Yeah,
bots
it's
were
just bots.
short-circuiting.
Yeah.
But also, hey, Geek Detective Pierce, how are you, buddy? So, and it's like there are a lot of places in the universe, and unfortunately, they didn't have you guys. So Thor gets up because he's been brooding, calls over Stormbreaker. She doesn't flinch, and so they all, and you hear Cap, "Let's go get this son of a bitch." It's like language, Cap.
I will admit, this is where, Captain Marvel becomes a little Mary Sue-ish, because it's like, oh yeah, everyone automatically likes her just because she didn't flinch. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Which is
And
funny
then-
because, like they set up this whole thing like, oh, we're going to call Captain Marvel and then she's going to be the one that like saves everybody. And then the backlash from her just being an asshole to like Chris Hemsworth to everybody during like
Jeremy
the
Renner, I
pressers.
remember, did not like her at all.
Right.
No,
No, and
he
you can
actually-
look back at a lot of the interviews that she had with other actors from the Marvel universe, and they didn't like her. So I don't know what she did behind the scenes, but to see that scene of Thor going, I like her, and then seeing the interview of like Chris Hemsworth not liking her, I just thought that was funny. Like,
and then there's but yeah, when you also see the one with Jeremy Renner, he's just looking off while she's talking about, oh, I use my platform to do this and this and this and that. And he's like, I don't really think that
It's just like, oh God, please make it stop.
So when
Yeah,
they
please
they
stop,
ask him,
yeah.
he's like, I don't really think that I have to use my platform to do anything. I just use it to entertain people.
also, and he's super humble. Didn't he get hurt by like helping somebody recently?
Yeah,
like,
he got hurt
he
by
got-
like seriously, like a snowmobile
snowplow
ran
or
over his
something?
legs.
Yep.
Right, while he was helping somebody. So like as he's not putting
And he
press on
recovered.
himself, he comes out being like just a genuinely good guy,
Yeah.
like
And so also did any of you guys notice the orchestra for the Avengers theme was only half used? Basically, a nice
I
little
didn't
symbolic.
sense the music was different. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Did you
didn't.
notice? You didn't? Oh.
No,
So
I
then-
didn't.
Like because music
Maybe I was too focused on the soap opera unfolding.
the score usually gets me. Like if I tear up or cry during a movie, I can usually blame it on the score.
Yes. Because
Like it's not the acting, it's the score every time.
Sometimes
Like I
it's the
said.
music, but other times it's usually people's facial expressions, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
kinda
I
really
grew
get
up
me.
in music, and so like I was like, wait, that's a little different. I don't know.
And then sometimes, like with I'm blanking. Fudge. Patrick Stewart's performance is like Charles Xavier and Logan. Like I cried. I was like, oh my
Oh yeah.
god.
So what are you coughing up a hairball?
No, I was just like, I
anyway.
remember I couldn't get the words.
She is a
out,
cat,
basically.
so
Yeah. She's a kitty, yeah. So
Yes.
we got them on the ship, and he's like, okay, so who's been to space before? Why? Don't throw up on my ship. And I absolutely love when they hit the jump point. They focus in on Captain's eye, where he's like, what am I seeing? I mean, this is a 1945 brain seeing space, hyperspace. So that was a nice little touch. And Carol goes down for a recon, and he's looking at his picture of Peggy and his compass. This is going to work, Steve. I know it will, because I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't. Great line. So it's like, and we all know what happens. They get down there, they chop his arm off, they hold him down, and realize the stones are gone. Well, it's not going to work now because it's like, you used them 2 days ago. I used the stones to destroy the stones. It nearly killed me, but the work is done. It always will be. I am inevitable. And so it's like, oh shit. And I like how Nebula actually, or because they were in denial, and she kills their denial right there. So it's like, we can't be in denial here. My father is many things. A liar is not one of them. And he does tell her, it's like, perhaps I did treat you too harshly. So
it's the meme. No.
Yeah, she does get that final affirmation from her father before he loses his head, because at this point, Thor's done. It's like, if we can't reverse it, I'm fucking killing him. And when I saw
mean, that
him,
was their last resort. Find him and get the stones back and reverse it. And then, yeah, I mean, like, it's totally understandable for Thor to do that, because it's like, okay, this was it. This was our moment to get retribution and to get the people back. Okay, nope, it's not going to work. Well, then he's no longer of use to anybody. Death. But I will say Nebula has gone through some really great character development, and I just wanted to say that as a side note. Like, good job, Nebula character arc.
Yeah. And I like how they actually show the head getting lopped off on screen. It's like, oh shit, they actually showed it. And I also like their reactions, because you see frickin' Bruce in the Hulkbuster. It's like, what? What did you do? I went for the head. And then he just walks out, because they all realize there is no fixing this. They lost.
Which was another gut punch to me. Like, I went to go see this in theaters opening weekend.
I did highlight it, yes.
And it was a gut punch of like, oh shit, okay.
That was...
Because I'm used, like, I knew the comic book storyline where, like, the gauntlet kind of got passed around. Like, Nebula got it for a while and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, okay, the movie's doing a different turn. Yikes. Okay, like, he destroyed the stones. Oh no. It was a gut punch after, like, the emotional opening of everything we got so far. Until
I remember like in theaters, like everyone was just silent.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they realized, oh shit, they lost in Infinity War. They just lost here too.
Correct. Yeah.
I would just like to say how much I enjoyed my theater experience. I went to this little tiny theater because all the big impressive ones were sold out. So I found this small neighborhood theater in Sherman Oaks, California, which is in the Valley. It's a Pacific Theater, RIP. It closed down during lockdowns.
Oh, too bad.
And yeah, I had the best audience I could have ever hoped to attend with.
I agree. Like you said, I had a great audience as well.
They were totally quiet the whole opening. They laughed when they were supposed to. People cried when they were supposed to. So I would like to, and it was just what you were saying in the opening act, dead silence. No, that first 20 minutes before the title comes up, it was dead quiet.
I think that's a plus for the movie, because everything that the movie and the directors and the music wanted you to feel, you felt. So thumbs up on that.
It was great. It was great at setting the mood. Like everything in combination with like the act. Well, most of the time the actors, like, and the music and stuff like that. So
when I saw the pre-screening in my hometown theater for this movie, and I'm so glad that I did, because the next day had a line down the street for it. And holy shit, folks. When the movie finished and whatnot, and everybody started getting up, I'm like, that was a bad movie. People looked at me like I shot a kid. Because they're like, what do you mean? That was a great movie. It's like, they broke their own rules. How does all the females suddenly appear in the same spot in the middle of a great battle?
I literally said, ugh. I
We'll
was
get
like,
to that.
ugh.
We'll
Yeah, okay,
get to
we'll get
that.
there. We'll get there.
When we
we'll
get there, I actually have an
But, yeah.
alternate take on that scene, which I will. When we get there, I will.
Yeah,
bring
let's
back.
regroup.
let's-
But
to be
when we
honest,
Yeah.
I didn't notice it. I'm like, you guys noticed that? Like, okay.
Yeah. But hold on.
I don't really
And
care.
I also covered, it's like there's a couple scenes here that could have easily been trimmed and whatnot. This movie was not good. And they're like, oh, you're just a hater. It's like, no, I love the MCU. And that is why I am having problems with this. But address Christian Freight's here. Rocket being named Ratchet from Stark doesn't make sense because Ratchet is a Lombax. He could have called him Sly Cooper, who is a raccoon. Stark gets all names wrong the first time around. So it's like he can't remember Rocket's name because, well, he probably didn't know Rocket well enough to get his name right. So
I will offer a
Rocket
different
Ratchet is
opinion.
close.
He remembers their names, but he just chooses to give them a nickname. Like when he
Alright,
meets
yeah.
Thor and he just calls him
Point
Point Break.
Yeah.
I think he knows their name because he's smart enough. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a genius. I think he's just resorts to humor, and that's how, like, for me, if I try to remember somebody's name, I'm like, okay, blue shirt, his name, and like I use things to remember people's names. I think he's just being funny, and I think that's just part of his character. But it's funny, yeah. Calling him Ratchet is just perfect. It was just funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
I thought like kind of technically the comparison does work, not in the terms of species, but in terms of like occupation and the character's actions. Because Ratchet is a fixer, at least from what I've seen. But like he's a fixer. He's got a spaceship. He goes out into space. Like Sly Cooper doesn't do that. So
he's a gearhead.
Yep.
So we get to 5 years later, and it's 2024 in the movie because the movie took place in 2018. So it's 2023. It's 2023. Holy shit. So we finally caught up to Avengers Endgame chronologically.
We're all gonna die. Okay.
Yeah. So Captain America therapy session with some survivors and whatnot, how they get over it. I'm guessing some of these people are from S.H.I.E.L.D. because, well, we know that the gay Russo brother is from S.H.I.E.L.D. He was helping Nick, and they had to make a point out that he was gay. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what?
I actually didn't think it was that obvious. That part didn't really bother me because it wasn't like they made you think he was straight and then he wasn't. That didn't really.
It wasn't like
really
he came into the therapy session wearing like a rainbow shirt. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah. It was just weird self-insert and then like, oh yeah, also insert LGBT. Like it was just weird for me.
Yeah, it got a lot worse down the road.
Yeah,
I was going to say comparatively later, it didn't really bother me.
This is like not very cringe. So
yeah, and it's a nice scene because Cap's like, we got to move on. We can't. Or Thanos spared half the universe, but we're not, or we're still here. And he's giving them their little hopeful bit, and then we get the rat that saved the universe.
What?
Because a rat walks across the return module to the quantum tunnel in the van from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even notice that. That's true. Because I watched it yesterday. That's true. So the rat did save the universe. We should crown that rat as
that rat.
Good job, rat.
Nebula destroyed the universe. A rat saved it. That's
right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So Scott's back.
Wait, this movie then is basically saying fate, like the 14 million iterations that Doctor Strange saw. That means he saw this rat basically getting Scott back.
Yeah.
He was probably like, what the fudge? Why is there a rat in this skirt on my face?
No, but now like thinking about it in context of like the whole universe, that means their only plan to win was hinged on like so many different things, and one of them was this rat walking across this.
And the guy
I forgot about that, and I watched this movie like 2 days ago.
Now, I believe that the guy that was in that storage house thing, I believe that was Ken Jeong from Hangover, or The Hangover. You know, the guy that's like, that one.
The guy from Community that goes, ha, gay? That guy?
Yeah, that one. I think so. Yeah.
Huh. I think you might be right.
I think so. I don't quote me. I could be wrong. But yeah. So he's walking and he sees that, what the hell? He doesn't recognize the planet he's on because, well, there's not a lot of people around. And he sees this kid. He's like, what the hell's going on around here? The kid just looks at him and then just drives off or rides off. And so he comes across the surviving pillars or the dead pillars. And he sees that his own name is there. So he's freaking out. He goes to the last known address to his ex-wife and daughter and whatnot. And we see an older Cassie. Now, this girl looks at least 18 years old. How old was his daughter before the snap?
Bro, she couldn't be more than 9. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah.
Right, because, okay, so in the first Ant-Man movie, she was what, like 5 or 6, maybe 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Okay,
5.
This
so-
one's like 3 years later.
So it's 3 years later, so she's like 10 to 12.
Possibly.
I'm gonna say 8 or 9 because I look at her and I'm like, this is a 5 to 7-year-old.
Also,
Otherwise-
I will admit that, like, when it comes to kids, I'm not really good at aging them. I'm like, what are you, 5? And they're like, I'm 10. And
Well,
I'm
this
like,
woman is
According
clearly
to-
freaking like 18 or 19.
According to Screen Rant, she is 16 in game.
okay, so probably play by a 22-year-old.
She'd be like 12.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like CW does.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
So she was
I-
CW'd. But it's a beautiful.
They CW'd her. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know what? Fine. I guess. I guess it'd be 16, but I'm like, huh.
The real
Yeah.
Cassie Lang.
The real
How'd
Cassie
you do,
is 16.
We're talking Endgame, Avengers Endgame.
Hello, Keely.
Oh my God, Keely went there. 16 is all right for me. R. Kelly.
Nice.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
Oh my
Good
God.
job.
Not highlighting it, but
She
That's a
woke
great
up. She
quote.
woke up and chose violence.
That's beautiful. Nice.
But that scene is actually very nice. He's like, Cassie, and she's like, Dad, and he's like,
She
you're
just
so
runs over and
big.
gives him a hug.
It was so great.
That's
we're talking
really
about-
sad, though. Like, imagine being a dad and then like missing your kid's entire childhood.
Yeah,
and you
it's
feel
like
you spent
literally like
5
he
minutes.
blinked and then suddenly she was older and apparently he's dead.
Well,
Like-
remember when he goes and sees sees Cap and Widow, he tells him it must have been only 5 years. He would have been dead if it was 5 years. He would have starved to death in the quantum realm. He's like, that's the thing. It wasn't. For me, it was 5 hours. So
Ooh.
before we get to that,
So he was like
Um,
Narnia style, like
yeah,
Yeah, kinda.
it's a microverse. He was in a
Or
microverse.
like just
essentially.
imagine like just like waking up and it's like, wait a minute, I'm dead? Like it's just
Yeah.
like going to see your tombstone. It's like,
Well,
what the
I
fuck?
totally get it though, because like he was missing, so and they all went to dust, so it's not like they could bury any of those people.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so they just like assumed he was dusted too.
yeah, I mean it makes sense. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we also probably understand that his wife or his ex-wife and his or her husband are probably dusted because, well, Cassie was there by herself. And so let's see here. Widow is at
Maybe her
Avengers
mom's
Tower.
at work or something. Like mom and
Yeah.
stepdad are at work or
Well,
something.
maybe.
Bro, that would be kind of dark, right? Like you know, imagine like 12-year-old girl just like, where'd everybody go?
Hmm.
I'm all alone.
Oh no,
so-
yeah, because now that you
yeah.
bring that up, like imagine kids in the foster care system, and then like the only people who were dusted were the adults, and then
Yeah.
Actually, it would be probably chaos. They would probably find it fun, like the Young Justice universe, like the Young Justice episode where like the world got split into 2 realms, and like all the kids in one area, all the adults in another, and then it's just like the kids were just having fun. They did not give a shit.
Right, but
Like-
here's like total
Well,
side
almost
note.
remember.
So sorry, but like when they did Winter Soldier and Falcon, or Falcon Winter Soldier, they could have delved it into that more and less in like a terrorist way, but like in a, hey, this is the results of what happened during the snap. You know, like the cleanup of just the snap and then the cleanup of the snap back would have been a big cleanup. Just
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
You-
Snap back. That's a good term.
Well,
but you know what I mean? Like
they
the
actually
snap
covered
of
that in. They actually covered that in the shitty Falcon and the Winter Soldier show.
it was super shitty. They didn't do a good job.
I think
But-
they did it in like Spider-Man, like the
Yeah,
Far From
In
Home one, too,
or Far
so
From
that-
Home. Far
Yeah,
From
they
Home. Yeah, a
they
little bit.
but it was brief though. It was a little brief. They're like, "Oh, I still got to go back to high school, blah blah blah," you know?
Yeah.
Like, but and it was more of a joking manner, but like that's why I think the opening, 30 minutes of the film did a really good job of creating the emotional depth of like, "Oh my god, what happened?"
Yeah. So Widow, getting back on track, Widow is still at Avengers Base, and she's coordinating with other with Wakanda and other people to cover what's been going on. And there's a underwater earthquake, so there's nothing they can really do. It's like we handle it by not handling it. And we learned that there was a garbage scout that Nebula and Rocket got conned into doing because Carol, with her supercut, is now helping other worlds. So she's probably going to be gone for quite some time,
Whoever was her barber should be fired.
right? But that is from the comics, to be comic accurate. That is from the comics.
I don't care. It looks awful on
Yeah.
her.
No, I
Yeah.
agree, but they did go through like every single one of her looks throughout the 2 movies that she was in.
Yeah.
And also,
Like,
like Brie
They
Larson.
did touch on all of her looks throughout the
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, Brie Larson does not have the build for that look. I'm gonna be real. Like
Yeah.
she just looked like she was like a kid
Yeah.
who was like wearing stuff that's like 3 times her size. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
Butch Les.
And
yeah.
and since you guys since Orange, I think you brought up that Sarah Michelle Gellar was set to be maybe
That was me.
cast in this. Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was him.
And the more the time goes by, I'm like, man, they really should have gotten her. Like, man.
I would have been fine with Ronda Rousey. But anyway, a lot
The
of peop-
acting would have
a
been
lot of people
subpar,
wanted
though.
a
I
lot
think
of
the
people
acting
wanted.
would have been worse, to be honest.
Well, here's
The
the thing.
acting would have been subpar.
If Ronda would get rid of that mole on her face, it would have been, or I thought it would have been decent.
It's not her fault that there's a mole on her face.
No, but a lot
We
of
need
people
the
focus on it.
CGI mold. We've had the CGI
Yeah.
beard. Now we have the CGI.
But anyway, getting back to it. After everybody walks away, Rhodey Scroll is still there, and it's like, I'm here in Mexico. The Federales found a bunch of cartel people diced up and whatnot, and it's like, it could have been a rival gang. No, it's definitely Barton. And this scene, the stuff he's doing, apparently, Barton's been on a killing spree, folks. And that is how we know what's going on, is that he's been on a killing spree. He's slaughtering people. He's lost it.
That's kind of what I what would have wanted for like the Hawkeye show. Just like have that gap in time filled. Like I want to see him be an
Yes.
edgelord and killing people.
Yes.
Well, that's
I didn't want to
we do get it.
see Florence Pugh and all that, whatever. I wanted to see like that gap of like, what were you doing during Civil War? What were you doing during this time? Yeah.
Because at this time, he's killing cartel, and we see him killing Yakuza. So he's going after any surviving criminal organizations. He's going after criminal organizations. Now, Oh my God, Keely, you are going dark with your comments. Terrence Howard dodged a bullet that was not fired by Alec.
Dang, Keely. You know what?
Like I said
Thumbs up.
earlier, she woke up today and chose violence.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Keep it coming.
Then we get that nice scene where after Rhodey disappears, she actually starts breaking down because she realizes that Clint's off the reservation and there's nothing she can really do. She's feeling useless at this point. And so that's when Cap shows up and he's like, I tell people all the time to move on, but not us, you know? And so we then meet up with Ant-Man. He goes over to quantum realm stuff and he thinks maybe there's a way to save everybody. And, well, we're going to need a big brain. They go to Stark and we get this nice little...
Big
now, the
brain
girl
time.
who... Yep. And we get the Stark scene with Morgana Stark, played by what's her name? I can't remember her dang name. The little girl. But anyway, folks, I remember she said something, or that people freaking attacked her online for her portrayal as Morgana Stark with the I Love You 3000 thing. And it's like, I'm only a little kid, folks, or people, please. That's not nice. But anyway, she plays this so freaking great. I really do like the Morgana Stark in this movie because this is Stark's second chance. And he even says that to Cap. He's like, I got my second chance right here, Cap. Now, she has her...
And Cap was saying that we needed to move on. And then Stark moves on and he's like, oh, wait.
God damn it, dude. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, bro, didn't you just say in your like group meeting that we need to like move on and start our lives?
But not us.
But right. It was like, okay, Cap, pick a side.
So she found the rescue helmet. Now, if you look, she has the rescue helmet is all the way around her head, including in the back of the head. But when they take off the mask, it's missing the back half. So I was like, where'd you find it? That was an anniversary gift for Mom. And she's like, I found it in the garage. So she's smart. She understands it all and whatnot. And it's so great because chances are this kid is going to grow up to be a genius.
It was a plot convenience for sure for her to find that for sure.
It was definitely announcing we're going to get rescue in this. So they show up and we learn about the the Planck scale and the Deutsch proposition. Do not ask me what those mean, folks. I tried looking it up and I did. And I read what it means and I still couldn't understand it. So yeah, it's like time travel messes with the Planck scale, which it introduces the Deutsch proposition. Can we all agree on that? In layman's terms, you're not coming back. I did. That's a 1,000,000,000 cosmic fluke. And they're thinking about the time heist, and Stark won't do it. He's like, look, and I like how Scott tells him, he's like, we have a chance to bring everybody back, and you are telling me that you won't even? That's right, Scott. I won't even. And would you guys think about it, folks? Would you? Because he now has a daughter that he's finally with Pepper. So yeah.
After the events of Iron Man 3, I would agree with it wouldn't be worth it for him because now there's jobs to do on Earth that he has the skills and equipment and money to help people to rebuild after the snap. And he has created a life and a family for himself. And right now, like post-snap, pre-second snap, he has built a life and we didn't like the movie didn't dive into what he's been doing in that 5 years other than building a family. but like because of his resources, he was probably helping out, like I had mentioned before, like people in foster care or whatever who were left disenfranchised or whatnot due to the snap. So I imagine that he had been, or at least the Stark Foundation or whatever he had been doing, was kind of helping with the aftermath of it. Like after the events of Iron Man 3 and stuff, of like him building a life with Pepper and everything, yeah, if it's 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance and you've built a life and this kind of identity of helping people post snap, yeah, like getting him back into the game would require a lot if I were in his situation.
Yeah.
But this is coming as a woman. Like if I had a kid and a family, and then they said there's 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance that this could work, I wouldn't take it. That's just me.
Yeah.
I
And
kind
so-
of get it because, he does have a family now. It's not just about him. So it's like, it's like I can understand why you wouldn't want to do it.
All right. Jacob?
Yeah, I agree. I always watched these scenes and like, I know we'll talk about this later, and like how Captain America decides to retire and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, what Stark is being so selfish in this moment. Cap is being so selfish, and I'm always like, but they did the thing, like,
Yeah.
they did it, and in Stark's case, he failed, and he doesn't want to fail again because then he could potentially lose his wife and daughter. And so I kind of understand that perspective. To me, it makes Stark more relatable, that even though, he is the super genius and whatnot, I always thought that this film made him more relatable as a person. And he does eventually, obviously, which I know we'll talk about, make the right decision because he's a hero. And I really like that dichotomy where, where they have him struggling with this, and now it's not even just about losing. Now it's about losing your family, the ones closest to you.
Mm-hmm. And so then they go to Hulk, and this scene, folks, as a Hulk fan, I like Smart Hulk, but as a Hulk fan, I hate this fucking scene. That cringe dab shit with the kids, and the kids are like, or Scott Lang trying to get in on the photo action. It's like, get me out of this fucking scene.
I hated it altogether.
When I watch this movie, I skip that damn scene. I can't stand it.
I didn't like it.
There are scenes.
It doesn't bother me. It's whatever.
It's personal for me, man. It's personal.
It's
I guess like I didn't like the scene afterwards, like where he's like giving him the fist bump thing, like he's just like, here, have this, and I'm like, oh.
Here's the thing though. So he says that he joined the Hulk and Bruce Banner, but then we get none of the Hulk except the physical part, and we get all of Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
In Thor, not Love and Thunder, sorry, Ragnarok, we get some of like what Hulk is thinking and how he feel, and he talks to Thor as Hulk, not as Bruce. But then when we get like the Hulk, like Hulk Bruce, mended, I don't even know what to call it. It
Smart
was just
Hulk.
Smart Hulk. It was Bruce's brain inside of Hulk's body. Where's the Hulk? Where's the Hulk?
Physically, he's there, but
they really should have. They really should
destroyed.
have took a page out of like the Gray Hulk thing. Like that's what I think he should have been.
It was just all Bruce's brain inside of Hulk's body. But
that's how Professor Hulk
body.
is. That's how Professor Hulk is, though. He's Bruce Wayne. He's Bruce Banner's brain inside Hulk.
I guess
Smart
I never
Hulk
read those. I guess I never read those Professor Hulk.
Yeah, I actually got blocked by Cosmic Book News because I
Nice.
argued with them about this.
I love
Yeah,
getting
I
blocked by
think-
people for having like just a normal like argument or a discussion about things. I love that.
Yeah.
It's always
And-
fun.
and
That-
I get it.
That
I
means
mean-
you're in the right, you know.
and I get it. I'm not a huge Hulk fan, but as someone who has seen Batman go through tremendous amount of stuff, I do understand the change. I guess for me, it made sense with this particular story. Maybe if it had been in a different context, I would have liked it less, but I knew that that's what they had to make the Hulk for this movie, and that's just my opinion. And that's just what I thought in this scene. It didn't
That's
really
a good
bother
point
me.
though
Yeah.
for this. Yeah, no, that's a good point though. Like for this story that they wanted to tell, this is what they needed. But as a whole, looking at it, I'm like, where's the Hulk in this except physicality?
Yeah.
And they even made him
As-
smaller. He was even smaller than like regular Hulk.
Yeah, because
Well, as
also
for me,
ahead.
I watched the show called Hulk and the Agents of Smash.
yeah,
And then I think Avengers Assembled 2, which was kind of like in the same sort of ultimate continuity cartoon universe. And so yeah, I was kind of disappointed because because technically, like, there was this version called Gray Hulk, pretty much. Like, he's gray, is still as big as the Hulk, but then, like, he's essentially, like, yeah, basically Hulk and Banner fused together almost, but in, like, a more so, like, a new personality type thing where they're not.
Yeah, Joe Fixit
Really-
is what
Yeah.
how he calls himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like where he's got, like, you know, the intelligence, the common sense, that kind of a thing, but he's not really aware of either the Hulk or Banner.
yeah.
I-
Joey fix
I
it.
thought that would have been more interesting to, like, have, like, basically be like a new personality essentially take hold, like, where it's like, you know, it's like, oh, the Hulk and Bruce Banner fused basically into a new personality. So
Fix
I
it is
personally
funny
wanted
as
to see.
hell in the Hulk Ultimate Destruction game because you can actually unlock Joey Fix It, and he's in a mob suit, and it's fun. But yeah, we then see Tony is doing some dishes, and he sees a picture of him and Pete where they're holding something upside down. So he gets a mild inspiration, and he talks about a Mobius, or he's like, has Friday run a simulation with a Mobius strip inverted, and he realizes that he just cracked time travel. And it's like, shit. Well, I love it, because when you have a kid and they hear that, they're going to copy it. And so she says it again. Now, obviously, she doesn't say the bad word. She says ship in real life, because you can actually see her lips move to a P instead of a T. So they do a clever edit thing where she says the bad word, and he's like, we don't say that word. And she's like, why are you up? Because I got some important shit going on. And I love her reaction. She's like,
Oh, so they had the actress saying ship, so they didn't
Yes.
want the little girl saying a bad word.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
They do what's known as a clever edit. Or it's
I
a clever
mean,
cut.
they did the same thing. I don't know if you guys noticed in Galaxy Quest, where they're going down the tunnel and they see like the things like basically like they're about to smash you, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, screw that." But if you read her lips, she says, "Oh, fuck that,"
Yeah.
because apparently there's an R-rated version of the movie.
Mhm.
But I didn't realize that they did that with kids. I
in
always
older
wondered.
movies. In older movies, though.
I
They
always
did have the
wondered
kids
how
swear.
they got kids to swear on movies if like the parents were okay with
In-
that. Okay, I
in
didn't
older
notice that.
movies,
Oh, Will
In
Ferrell
older
lets his
movies-
kids swear all the time. He like
Yeah,
bragged
in
about
older
it.
movies, they did allow it because they had the parents. They actually did have the parents come in and like, can they say this word just one time? Like in Demolition Man, that girl who
Yes,
says,
I
"Fuck
did
you,
notice that.
lady,"
Yeah,
that girl, it's like, "Fuck you, lady." They actually had to get that kid's, or I believe they actually had to get the kid's parents' permission. For
So
her to
that
say
maybe
that.
they didn't get the kid's parents' permission for this one.
Yeah.
Ship. Yeah, okay, I didn't notice that. I'll have to go back and look at her lips. I wasn't paying attention to her mouth.
But yeah, so he gets extortioned for juice pops.
I
And,
really loved the dynamic, though, between him
Yeah.
and his kid, because his kid is obviously smart, and she's very young. Just A+ on the child and the parent dynamics. It was really
Yeah.
good.
And so we get the scene with him and the I Love You 3000. And then we see he's like talking to Pepper, and he's like, I figured it out. Or what's new with composting? Interesting. I figured it out. So we know we're talking about the same thing here. Time travel. What? I mean, that reaction from Pepper, she's like, what? And she knows him so well, because he's like, I could put a pin in this right now, and we can, or just throw it in the lake, drop it, and forget about it. And we could just go to bed right now. But would you be able to rest? That is a perfect line in there. And she also admits, she's like, Tony, one of the many failures in my life is that I could never get you to stop anything you put your mind to. And she is absolutely right. If he was to try to go to sleep after he just cracked time travel, he would never be able to let that go. So we then get to, let's see here, the Avenger time travel with Scott Lang. Great freaking scene. We get old Scott, young Scott, baby Scott, and pissed pants Scott. What did we all think of this? It's like, what? Or you can't say things like that. Or you do, or you weren't kidding, right? I don't know. It's this. We're talking about time travel here. Either the whole thing is a joke or none of it is. We're good. And so, holy shit, man. And I love how the Hulk is like, it's a baby. It's Scott. As a baby, he'll grow. And he just colors it so freaking smart, or so freaking hilariously. And so they finally get him back. Somebody peed my pants. I don't know if it was big or old me or baby me or me.
They had to add some humor because
Yeah.
this whole time has been like
Kind of dour.
depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of dour. Absolutely.
So what did everybody think of the Scott scene? Or the different Scotts? We'll start, or go with you, Kate, first.
Like I said, it was a good moment of well, Marvel does this where they add humor to kind of give it some levity to all of the action that we're seeing. And since we've just gotten, hey, the aftermath of everybody dying, and then hey, how, like, okay, we're just gonna deal with it and realize that there's nothing we can do to fix it. It's just been kind of depressing the whole time, and to have a scene like this, it was like, okay, here we go. We know this movie's 3 hours. Everybody went into this movie knowing it was 3 hours long. We have to have some brief moments of levity to give us some relief. And so this scene, other than the fact that I was like, why is the Hulk and Bruce Banner, other than that brief thing that I wasn't necessarily on board with, it was needed. We needed some levity. We needed, and Scott Lang was the perfect character to do it with, because Scott Lang is just known for just being lighthearted and fun and just like that, if that makes sense. So I liked this scene.
Yeah. All right, Riot. Kitty.
Well, honestly, it's kind of like a bit of like a humorous thing where it's like basically like, Scott Lang is pretty average in terms of in comparison to, like, I guess, like a Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, that kind of a thing. So it's kind of like an interesting, like, humorous reason for like him to like actually process what they're gonna they're trying to do, basically.
All right.
And then there's it's kind of trippy, but
yeah.
Or am I jumping ahead too far?
We are talking about him aging, turning into a baby, old man. This is Scott's test going through time.
Oh, it's that one. Okay, I'm okay. We're a little ahead.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. It was actually, yeah. I laughed actually. That was very funny. Him doing that, and then a little bit before, it's basically like, it's like he's an average guy. He's like kind of like just like, oh my god, we're doing time travel now. I'm being messed up, basically. So.
And Jake?
I love that scene. It makes me laugh every time. And I like it too because it's before Marvel decided that quirky was the only sense of humor. I like I like it because it works really well. Paul Rudd plays it off really well. I think it also works perfectly when because he turns young, he turns old, he goes back to normal, and then Hulk is like, I see this as an absolute win because he's a scientist. So in his mind, they did it. They bent time, right? It's kind of, and everyone else is just like, no, this isn't what we were looking for. So I thought that was kind of a really good playoff for that scene. It worked really well.
Yeah. And then we get Stark coming in, and he knows exactly what happened. He's like, why the long face? Let me guess, he turned into a baby. Among other things, what are you doing here? He's like, he comes in, and he's like, it's the EPR paradox. Instead of sending Lang through time, you ended up sending time through Lang. It's dangerous. Somebody could have cautioned you against it. You did. And he's like, oh, did I? Well, then he comes up with his portable temporal GPS time traveling smartwatch, basically, that helps him go through time in stable and not screwing with the DEPR paradox thingy. And then we get the priorities of Stark. This time travel thing, if we can do it, I gotta tell you my priorities. Bring back what we lost, yes. Keep what we have, I must. Because he doesn't want to lose his kid and his wife. Bring back what was lost and keep what he has. And also he returns the shield to Cap, and we get the Captain America theme, which is nice. I love the Captain America theme from Captain America 1, the first Avenger. And so then they have the ship coming in, and that people are heading to Norway. Well, Todsberg, Norway, which was introduced in Thor, the first movie, where the Frost Giants invaded. And then in Captain America, the first Avenger, where the Red Skull went after the Tesseract. And now Tonsberg, Norway is New Asgard. And we get Fat Thor, where he is just wallowing in his own filth, and he is totally depressed. And we get Korg and Meek, and apparently Deadpool is giving Meek Korg a hard time in Fortnite because Noob Master, people are speculating, is Deadpool.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Repeat
apparently,
that last sentence that you just said?
Apparently, it is speculated that Deadpool is Noob Master 69. But it's a kid.
Oh.
So it's like, that kid is back.
Oh,
and he called me a dickhead again. But it's like, I don't think that's Deadpool. Because a lot of people are saying it is Deadpool. I was like, fuck you, that's not Deadpool. They even say it's a fucking kid.
Yeah, okay. I was like, wait a minute. It would be funny if Deadpool were playing video games and going back and forth, but yeah, they do say it's a kid. But also, like, oh, anybody could be anybody online, technically. I don't know, but it's a fun fan theory, I guess.
Hmm. And so then they're like, we can fix things. Like what? Like Thanos. Don't say that name. And when he reacts like that, I'm thinking to myself, this is like what's his Brock from Pokemon after the Orange League, where they ask him about that doctor that he was with that he really liked, and whenever they ask him about it, he's like, I don't want to talk about it. And he goes into this whole dark, like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But man, when I saw Fat Thor, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? I'm thinking to myself, no.
I don't know, because I played God of War Ragnarok before this movie came out, and Thor is heavy. So
God of War Ragnarok didn't come out until after this movie.
Oh, true. That's true. I'm mixing I'm getting my timelines confused.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I was okay with it because if they had gone into, like, I don't know, if they didn't make him a pussy,
yeah,
that would have been okay. However, the emotional toll that it played, I could totally see him just being like, I'm gonna drink meat all day and whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't like them just turning him into, like, I'm gonna play video games and hang out with Korg and neglect my duties. Like, that's not Thor. That's what I had an issue with. I didn't have an issue with him getting into, like, depressed Thor and gaining weight. The weight wasn't an issue. Everything else was. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Jacob?
It didn't really bother me. For me, I was more what they did after with it. So it's to me, it makes sense that he would be upset because he thought he was going to stop Thanos and he didn't, and then everyone died. Right? This is a movie about redeeming yourself after failure, and my problem is after this they didn't do. It's like he reverted into Thor 1. That's my big problem with, like, with Thor Love and Thunder and whatnot, is he feels like Thor 1 after this. And to me, that was my problem with it, is more not so much what they did with this movie, but later on, the precedent it set in, sadly.
Yes.
But other than that, for me personally, in the moment watching, because I saw this movie 3 times in theaters, and I've watched it on home video several times. But it's for me, it was more what happened afterwards than that. But every time I watch it and I try to ignore Phase 4, I actually it doesn't bother me that much. You know, for me, it's always the stuff that happens after that bothers me. But yeah, to me it made sense. I was kind of disappointed because in Thor, or in World War Hulk, you actually find out Meeks is a villain. Spoiler alert, I don't know if they're going to do that in the movies or not, but oh yeah, Meeks is actually a villain. He causes a massacre, and that's what triggers World War Hulk. So
yeah, that is true. Meek or the little fucker with the scissor arms.
I do like your points. Yeah, I do like your points though. Yeah, it was just I ignore Phase 4 when I watch this movie because Phase 4 hadn't happened when I saw this movie. Yeah.
I agree.
So, what did you think about Fat Thor, Riot?
I understand what they were going for, but like with the Hulk's new personality, I frankly found it a bit cringe and maybe overdone, I suppose. Like, I like, he could be depressed. Like, I'm just like, but does he really have to look like a hobo and showered in 2 weeks? Like,
Yeah, I love what Rocket tells me. He's like, look like melted ice cream. So
I mean, that's what depression sometimes does to you. Like, I don't know. For me,
Oh.
I thought it was okay. But
Oh, I can agree because believe me, when I got or after 2017, 2018, I got really depressed. Let's just say that. I got really depressed because of false accusations against me and my incarceration and whatnot. This was before I found everybody here in YouTube and whatnot. I had to dig myself out of that. Thor has friends where they can help him out of it. I didn't at the time. So believe me, it's a hard slog back to reality, folks. And so we then get the next scene, which is Ronin slaughtering the Yakuza, and we get Hiroyuki Sanada in his second Marvel movie. The first one was The Wolverine, where he played Mariko's father. And he is a Yakuza boss in this one, where Ronin basically is going after him. It's like, half the world didn't, or they had Thanos, you get me. And he slices his throat, and he's like, what do you want? I'll give you anything. What I want, you can't give me. And then he just slaughters it, or he just kills it, coup de grace him. And he then knows that Widow's there, and she tells him, we found something. We might be able to fix things. Don't what? Don't give me hope. I love that line. It's like, don't give me hope. I'm sorry I couldn't give it to you sooner. So we then get to, let's see here, Lebowski reference, where he's like, one side, or drifting left, one side, Lebowski. It's humongously hilarious how they bring in the big Lebowski here when Jeff Bridges, a.k.a. Obadiah Stane, played the Lebowski. And I'm thinking to myself, who played the Lebowski in this movie? Because we know in The Flash, what's his name played Marty McFly. So
yeah.
If this is a whole multiverse bullshit too, who is Lebowski? Or who played Lebowski? I want to know. I must know.
Kevin Bacon plays himself in the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
That is very true.
But also he was a villain. He played a villain in the X-Men universe. So maybe Jeff Bridges is actually the Lebowski, and it's just a coincidence that Obadiah Stane looks like him. That could be possible.
Possibly. And so,
I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, like franchises kind of do this, where they hire an actor or they do something, and then later they're like, haha, we want to put in this joke that references that same actor, and it's like, wait a minute. Oh, sorry, my cat is going off. It might have been an oversight, but it was a funny joke. And maybe they thought the audience wouldn't notice. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we noticed. We noticed.
We then get the contradictory rules of time travel, where they're getting ready to do a test run, and it's like, or everybody's like, well, why don't we find baby Thanos and
kill him?
Okay, first, that's horrible. It's Thanos. And secondly, that wouldn't do anything. Think about it. Or it's like, where'd you hear that? And they go through all the different time travel movies, and they're like, this is known. I don't know where you or think about that. Because if you think about it, going back to your future or going back to your past becomes your future. And what goes on in the past can't alter your present, and yada, yada, yada. And freaking Nebula's just agreeing with everything Bruce is saying and whatnot. It's like, exactly. And it's like,
I got a Days of Future Past, like, when that scene happened, I was like, this is like Days of Future Past, like,
yeah,
they're arguing about time travel again.
Pretty much. And so we then get Clint doing his time travel, where he goes back, and what does he do He fucking flouts the rules, man. He's like, fuck you, I just heard my kids. I'm going to talk to my kids. I haven't seen my kids in 5 years. So it's expected that he would want to do that, you know? So then we realize, okay, the how works. Now let's figure out where they are. Thor, we'll start with you. And I love that that little rattle sound. I was like, is he asleep? No, pretty sure he's dead. It's fucking hilarious because he's just sitting there with his hand in his pants. It's like, dude, what the fuck? But so he's like,
watching some nice entertainment, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, been there, but also funny. Like, I don't mean to laugh at people's, like,
somebody called
it's not
it
a mental.
it's
not a mental disorder to have depression, because you can get in and get out of it pretty quickly, if that makes sense. I don't know. Having been there, I wasn't gonna fault Thor for going through a bout of depression.
Yeah,
you know.
Nor am I. I mean, I get that he's depressed. But yeah, it's like somebody called it a stone. We're gonna have to amend that.
It was a lighter moment that we needed light moments in this film because we were dealing with something of great emotional severity and heaviness. I mean, we just dealt with half the universe dying. We needed moments in this movie of laughter. And having been through depression myself on a chronic basis, I'm willing to give them a thumbs up on, okay, taking a step back from it. It's funny to look at and being like, okay, oh, he's asleep. It's funny. I'm willing to give them that.
I also like there's deleted scenes all around this part of the movie where they're talking about the Chitauri, and freaking Rocket's like, well, why didn't you just blow up their mothership? And it's like, we didn't know that until much later in the fight. And it's like, well, everybody knows that you you stop the Chitauri by killing their mothership.
If you're from space, sure.
And so they're all doing their little brainstorming about where the stones were. And I love how they're like, well, wait, he was in New York? Yeah, haven't you been paying any attention? It's like, guys, if we pick the right time, there are 3 stones in New York. Shut the front door. So the Power Stone and the Soul Stone, 2014. Reality Stone, 2011. Time, Mind, and Space are in 2012. So they do their little Captain America does his superhero speech, and they go back in time, and we get the 2012. I love the roundabout with the Avengers that they show. Then they show the future Avengers arriving, like right next to them, block down the way. And 2012 is Hulk, Stark, Lang, and Cap. And 2011 is Rocket and Thor, and 2014 is Nebula, Natasha, and Clint and Rhodey. Well, Hulk goes to meet the Ancient One because the Ancient One is kicking ass against the Chitauri, making sure they don't get beyond a certain point. And it's like, I wouldn't go in through there. We just had the floors waxed. And he's like, yeah, I'm looking for Doctor Strange. Well, then you're about 5 years too early. She knows this dude time traveled.
I liked this scene because it extended the universe of what we've already seen in 2012 of the Avengers fighting the Chitauri. Of like, okay, it wasn't just this isolated event that we saw in Avengers, the first one, which was a great film. It extended into this universe that we've built over the course of since 2008.
Yep.
So I
at
like
this
that.
point, 11 years.
Yeah, right.
So he's like, or what do you want him for? That actually. I'm afraid not. Well, I ain't asking, or she's like, you don't want to do this. You're right, I don't, but I need that stone, and I don't got it. Boing! Knocks him out, Astro, and I like how it's Bruce. Because it's still his body and his mind and whatnot. And
right,
let's start
and
over,
that's
shall we?
and that's why I had an issue with the Bruce like Hulk version, or whatever. It's because it's just Bruce's brain. Like, where's the Hulk's brain? Anyway.
And also that very cringe is like, try to smash a few things along the way. I think it's gratuitous, but whatever. Dish. It's like, no, bad Hulk, bad Banner Hulk, yuck. But also, if you look at the Hulk, which is the Savage Hulk, you realize that his brow is kind of more Cro-Magnon. And if you look at Bruce Hulk or Banner Hulk, you see that it's more Mark Ruffalo. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so then we see the Avengers Tower screw up with Nat and Clint split up to go to Boromir, while Nebula and Rhodey get ready to track Quill. And he's like, we're not the only ones in 2014 looking for the stones. Well, who else is looking for them? Me, or my father, my sister, and me. And then we see past Nebula fighting, and Gamora saves her life, and they get back to the ship where Thanos is waiting for them. And we see Thanos 2014, the Warmonger. 2018's Infinity War Thanos, he was more, according to the Russo brothers, like a monk on a holy mission. This is Thanos, Warmonger Thanos, who is not on the holy mission yet, who dangerously gets information that he thinks is beneficial to him. However, it is the cause of his downfall. Where we see the thing that just happened between her and Rhodey, and it's like, oh shit, Nebula's synaptic drives are entangled because they're now in the same time period. So we then cut to Avengers Tower, where Loki is just getting apprehended. Hydra Shield boys are arriving with the strike team, and Tony had to make the line, by the way, Cap, that suit did nothing for your ass. Nobody asked you to look, Tony. As far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus.
Gay?
Right?
I thought it was hilarious. That seems like something Ant-Man would say.
Yeah. And so they're like, they look like bad guys. You're really small, but you talk really loud. And so they flick him in the ass to send him over to frickin' Stark. And then he jumps out the window the same way that he was falling out the window from Avengers 1, up like this. But notice, he didn't even get down a third of the way before his new Mark X, whatever, or Mark X Infinity / Sigma Pi Ti Alpha suit that is. I can't remember which suit it is. All I know is that it is like the Mark 50 2.0, because it has like 2.5 times the nanos, or the nano machines, as well as the air. It's more gold and reminiscent of his original suit from the comics. So he's now tracking the scepter, and we get Chris Evans dropping the Hail Hydra. And it's great, it's fun, it's whatnot. And him laughing about it, or him smiling about it as he walks away, I'm thinking to myself, dude, don't smile about that. Because that honestly would piss off Cap. The fact that he would have to say that. That would make Captain America that would be like, I hate that I had to say that. But I did, or I said it because I know what I had.
It was a dig in Civil War Cap.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
I was.
Or Winter Soldier
I
Cap,
actually. I agree with you that I don't think he would have liked saying it, but I honestly think they did it to mock Secret Empire. Because
Yeah.
I even remember the guy who Perlmutter, who he was the CEO of Marvel Entertainment for a while, but he only was in charge of the comic books after Disney bought it. But I remember he was begging fans not to give up on Secret Empire because
Yeah.
every issue the sales would drop, and that's the one where you find out Captain America was a Hydra agent the whole time. Of course,
Yep.
then they tacked on an ending where he got brainwashed or something.
Well,
And
yeah, because they just realized that the two Jewish creators of Captain America were like turning in their graves.
right.
Like, you motherfuckers, you turned him into a Nazi.
Right. And so I honestly think it was a wink and a nod, like, hey, we're making fun of that a little bit. But yeah, I do agree with you. He wouldn't have said it, but that's what I thought in that moment. I thought, oh, this is a dig at that story arc because everyone freaking hates it. I've never met any even the smallest of the small fake fans who pretend they read Marvel comics, they won't even defend Secret Empire. For one thing, it's misspelled, but they misspell Empire. But then on the other, so I honestly think that's what this was. But I do agree with you. I think he would have hated saying it, but I think if I could read their minds, I think that's what it was. It was just a dig at Secret Empire, where the Russo brothers say, "Hey, we wrote a better Captain America Hell Hydra scene than you comic book writers did." So
he was using the knowledge that he had from Winter Soldier against these people. Essentially, is what he was in the movie. But I just wish that he hadn't smiled walking away. I mean, that's my only gripe with it.
Yeah.
Because I would have realized it, or I would have liked it better if he was just walking away, kind of almost like a scowl. It's like, and almost kind of like spit as he was walking away, like he was getting a bad taste out of his mouth. If they would have done something like that, it would have actually fit a little bit better. And the next scene is, let's see here. Bruce convinces the Ancient One, and let's see. Hold on. Or Bruce is talking to the Ancient One and convinces her. Or no, wait, that comes a little bit later. We see them down getting the God damn it, where were we? Yeah, they told the Hulk to take the stairs, and he's kind of really pissed off taking the stairs. Also, they're already down in the lobby where Robert Redford's back, folks, and they're Hydra, and they want to take Loki and the Tesseract, and Lang has to short out Stark's chest machine or the arc reactor. Right? You wanted to say something?
Nope.
All right. And Loki then sees everything that's going on. He sees the case going by, and he sees the Tesseract at his feet, and we see him escape, which leads to the Loki universe, or the Loki showverse. Now, again, folks, the whole problem with the time travel and grabbing Infinity Stones from several different time periods, you're creating branch universes, which automatically makes them separate universes from the whole of which they originated from. You are taking them out of their home universe. This is the cardinal rule of Marvel. This was established. If you take the Infinity Stones out of their home universe, they go inert. You can't use them.
Which makes
What if completely flawed?
Also, how did Thanos use those stones to decimate the whole universe if he was on Earth when he snapped?
Because those were all still in the same universe. Those were the stones that he used were the same stones from the home or from that universe.
From Earth?
Earth is part of the same universe, yeah.
Yeah, Earth is part.
Oh, it's the
you
universe,
muted
not the
yourself, Jake.
planet. Okay, it's the Earth, not the planet. Okay,
You're
okay.
still muted, Jake.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying, yeah, it was part of the
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe has its own designation because all universes have to have designations now. But yeah, universe, not planet.
Okay,
Earth is-
sorry. I thought it was planet, and I thought they
Nope.
retconned their whole shit, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense anymore. What's going on?
Universe.
Okay, universe, not planet. Got it.
And then we learn that we learn about the rules because Ancient One also explains them to Hulk. The Infinity Stones create what you guys perceive as time, and you remove one of them, and that path splits. And in this new reality, this new universe, without our chief weapon to hold off the forces of darkness, we would be overrun. So tell me, Doctor, can your science prevent that? No, but we can erase it. So after we succeed and fix what's going on in ours, we can return the stones back to the time that we took them out. So technically, in that new reality, it never happened. Well, you're forgetting the most important part. You have to survive. We will, I promise. I can't gamble our universe on a promise. It is the responsibility of the Sorcerer Supreme to protect the Time Stone. Well, then why the hell did Doctor Strange give it away? And she's like, what? Yeah, he gave it to Thanos. Willingly? Willingly? Yeah. Why? So she's like, why? I don't know. Why don't you ask him?
I love that exchange. She's like,
yeah.
He did what now?
Yeah, it's like, willingly? Well, yeah, maybe he made a mistake. Or I did.
I fully expected her to do the same thing that he did in Endgame, where he like looked into the future and saw, the possible futures and go, okay, hold on, wait, let me look into the future and see what's going on. Because if she was like, okay, give me a second, and looked into the future and saw the like 14.5 million whatever things that he looked into, she would have seen, okay, he was right, here you go.
She can't
but
see
she just took
her,
him at his word.
Yeah. No, she can't see past her death. All she knows is that the many possibilities of Strange's future, and she knows that Stephen Strange is to be the best of them.
Right.
So she actually has to go on Hulk's word. She doesn't trust, or she can't see past her own death. So
okay, yeah.
She is able, or she has to basically take it on faith. I'm trusting you, Bruce. You are our hope, or we are all trusting you. And so then we get to Cap versus Cap, and he ends up, we get the whole, I could do this all day. Yeah, I know. And then we get the falling down, and we see the compass, and he's like, where did you get this? And so he's losing against his younger self, which is at this point 12 years or 11 years 11 years younger, but he says Bucky is alive. What? Boom, and then he knocks him out with the scepter. It's like, wait, did you just turn him evil with that scepter? Yikes. I mean, they totally fucking screwed up this particular time period. Because
what do you mean? Because Cap, even if it had affected him, it would have been by the holder, not by the scepter itself.
So it's the will of the holder that affects what happens with it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Because
otherwise, when Ultron used it, they would have just kept doing what Loki wanted to do, because he was the one who it was originally given to by Thanos.
Yeah. All right. So, but yeah, and then he looks down at his own ass. That is America's ass. It's like, fucking God, dude. It's hilarious. So, what did you all think of the lobby scene, the screw up, the lead up to Loki, and Cap versus Cap, as well as Ancient One and whatnot? Give it all your shit. Go nerdy.
Well, for me, it's I thought it was really good. It filled in a lot of gaps. Like we didn't see sort of the administrative, like, because you think, how did Stark get a hold of this of the scepter, and Age of Ultron? How did it get in the hands of Hydra? Well, now we know it was because they recovered it, and everything in between it kind of filled in some of the, for me at least, it filled in some of those questions. I even like how it even told us where Doctor Strange was, because that was a big question, is where has he been all this time? Yeah. And where does his story fit in? Well, now we know, because there was a rumor for a while that the opening of Doctor Strange took place during Iron Man 2. Some people were saying during Civil War, but a fan theory was actually Iron Man 2. Well, this proves that wrong. We actually know he was working emergency during the invasion. So just for the nerdy part of me, I'm glad that they used that as an opportunity to they weren't really plot holes, but they were just stuff we didn't know that we had questions about. So that answered, exactly. That answered a lot of those things. So I really appreciated that about this sequence.
Yeah, someone who's watched most of the MCU movies, like, I definitely appreciate that. It's like, oh my god, it's from that movie, fill in the gap with that movie. Like, it was very fun. It was very fun, like, looking at, like, the time travel stuff and, like, seeing, like, gaps in, like, time or whatever. Like, you can see, like, it being filled up, so I like that.
It was, I don't know, at the moment it was like, I will say the same as the other guys in the panel, is it filled in gaps. And Minerva has something to say. I don't know if you heard my cat meowing. But at the same time, I was like, okay, so they're building up for phase 4 where they're going to be able to fill in the, some of the other gaps. Loki disappearing, I was like, okay, if he disappears, how do they take him to Thor 2 where he stands in front of Odin? There were still some questions, but I liked that they were like, okay, it was definitely a hey, we're gonna build off of this. And I liked that, because I'm like, oh, where are they going with this? But then after seeing the Loki series, I was like, oh, that's why they went with this. So it was exciting at the time, but I don't trust Marvel with Disney at this point, if that makes sense.
I get it.
So it was a 50-50 for me.
Now, before Riot goes, I want to actually clarify something with Loki. As bad as the Loki show is, they did get one thing right, and that was the rules of the Infinity Stones, where when they are removed from their reality or their universe, they go inert. So he sees them all a bunch of paper. He sees a bunch of paperweight Infinity Stones, essentially. And it's like, then you have What If, where fucking Ultron is able to jump universes chasing after the Watcher. And I'm thinking to myself, no. The second he leaves his universe with all 6 of those Infinity Stones, he would have gone catatonic. He would have shut down.
The rule of cool does not apply. No.
But it's what if? Yeah. What if? I know I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, you're right. In fact, even in the comic books, they established that for a while after the Onslaught incident, a lot of the superheroes got shoved and Loki as well. They got shoved into this pocket dimension that Franklin Richards, the son of Mr. Fantastic Invisible Woman, created. Yep. And one of the reasons they figured out it was fake was because they realized there was no Infinity Stones. And that's how they were like, oh, wow, this is not a real universe we're in, because we can't find. And if I recall correctly, it was actually Loki who figured it out. He says, I can't find any Infinity Stones. And I think he told Thor, and that's what led to the whole Heroes Return story arc. But yeah, that is correct. If there are no Infinity Stones in that universe becomes inert.
It
Marvel's definitely been very inconsistent when it comes to the.
It also makes sense that the Tesseract would not harm the Flurkin when the Flurkin ate it, because inside the Flurkin's stomach is a separate universe. It's a pocket universe.
Annie.
So, Riot, what are your thoughts on all the scenes in New York?
I gotta admit, I think this is probably the movie lost me slightly. And that's just like, I'm like, there's like so much stuff happening. I'm like, this is like madness, basically. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I was like, what the fudge? Yeah, basically the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I'm like, okay, this is what is happening. But it's like, my brain is still like, just like trying to still process even the second time watching it.
All right. So back on the Dark Aster in 2014, or not the Dark Aster, but Thanos' ship. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure Jake would know. No? Okay, fine.
I actually don't. I wish I did.
So Thanos learns of the future events, and I like how he's like, Terrans, Avengers, unruly wretches, which goes back to what the other said in the first movie's post-credit scene. They're humans, they're what we promised. They aren't the cowardly wretches that we were promised. They are unruly and therefore can't be ruled. So unruly wretches. And he sees that there's two nebulas, and we also see that the Black Order is still alive, and it's Ebony Maw that's going through the computer, and he realizes that there's another nebula, and it's from 9 years in the future. So he knows now everything about the Infinity Stones and the whole mission. So now he's heading for Morag.
And then when I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, they're so
yeah. But like I said, this is a Thanos that is warmonger, not an enlightened Thanos yet. An enlightened Thanos, he was able to succeed where this one couldn't. Now,
Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Thanos.
Yeah, I heard someone say, I don't know if this is true or not, but they were saying that Ronan's betrayal is what made him more enlightened. And Ronan's betrayal hasn't happened yet in this part of the story. So so he definitely is a different Thanos than what we saw in Infinity War.
Oh yeah.
So we also see that Rhodey and them take the stone, and then just as Nebula's about to leave, she's captured by Thanos because she figures out that Thanos knows, and she tries warning Romanoff and Clint. Doesn't work though. And then we're back into the New York team, and they're all freaking out, and somehow, some way, before Tony was even born, he has a memory of the Tesseract and Pym particles being in New Jersey on April 7th, 1970. I don't know how he knows this. Unless it was all a part of the contingent package that his father had from Iron Man 2. That's the only way that he would have figured it out. I'm guessing that is because we see in his journals the Tesseract Cube and other things as well. So chances are, yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wouldn't. But I was going to say, could it be he knew from the data leak from Winter Soldier? Because remember, all of the Shield's files were made public, so it's possible he had seen it from those files, because we know he had Tony was looking into things like the Tesseract and the Scepter before. So, I know I'm going on a limb here because they don't clarify, but I'm just saying that's a possibility.
Pym particles but were Pym particles part of those shield files?
Well, they would be because
Well, yeah,
Pym
yeah.
worked
Wouldn't they
for
be
S.H.I.E.L.D.
like at least
Remember,
a part of it?
yeah, and the first Ant-Man, they established that Pym was
Yeah.
part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that he
yes.
was their errand boy. So it is possible that Pym particles would be referenced, even though he took the formula with him. To me, I could see that making sense if you connect the dots with Winter Soldier and Ant-Man. But you're right, they don't make it clear. I'm just throwing out a possibility.
And so we get sent back to 1970, where Ant-Man takes the scepter back, but the other two go to 1970, and we get Stan Lee's last cameo. Hey, man, make love, not war. Love it. And he's driving like a maniac, too. And so we see Howard Stark grabbing the Tesseract while we also see a very young Michael Douglas with the biggest fucking hair ever. And we also see the original Ant-Man helmet, which is nice. And it's like, Dr. Hank, we need you up here. Or we have a package for you. Well, bring it on down. That's the problem, sir. We can't. I thought that was your job. Well, sir, the guys are kind of sick and it's glowing. They didn't touch it, did they? Yeah, you might want to get down here. It's like, what the fuck was he expecting?
He was expecting like his freaking like I don't know, like portable DVR from Amazon.
That's radioactive? But anyway.
Well, he asked if they opened it, not if they touched it. Did you open the package?
They didn't open it, did they?
Maybe it was like expecting like some toxic chemicals or something.
Right. And so we also see that Cap, this is where Cap gets his decision for the end of the movie. He sees that Peggy has become a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in 1970. And apparently there was some sort of lightning strikes that were keeping Braddock, which is one of the other characters in the Lexicon of Heroes.
Captain
He is
Britain.
Union Jack. Say what?
He's Captain Britain.
Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right. Braddock is Captain Britain, not
Union Jack was from was from
He was
World War
one
II.
Howling
That's how I
Commandos.
know.
Yeah, he's one of the Howling
Howling
Commandos.
Commandos. Exactly.
Oh, what's his name? I couldn't remember his name. But she takes a look at the thing. She's like, it's not lightning strikes. But we couldn't really catch the full conversation. So chances are Captain Britain was already being created at that point. So that would be cool. And it's like, well, she can't be director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm going to go back into the 40s or 50s, and I'm going to marry that bitch. I'll be director of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, just kidding. So Stark is learned about his mom as being out to here. She can't stand the sound of chewing. And I love how Howard gives Tony gives Howard parenting advice. And he's like, he did drop the odd pearl. Like what?
It came full circle on that one. I liked that.
It really did. And he's like, no amount of money can buy a second of time. Smart guy.
So true. So true.
Because he had, at least in Iron Man 2, he had a strenuous relationship that we saw in the movies between him and his father. Of like, okay, he's trying to teach me something. He's trying to, like, in Tony's mind, he was trying to help the world more than he was trying to help his family. And then when he sees those videos of him just strictly speaking to his son, it is poignant. So for that moment of him just trying to tell him, like the point of it was like, hey, no amount of time that you spend helping the world will like make up for the time that you lost with your family. I just thought that was really poignant, especially since he had built a family of his own with Pepper, with his daughter, and in the context of him sacrificing his own life. Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed these scenes because, like, if I were able to go back in time and meet my parents or my grandparents, for example, before I was born, man, or like right when I was born and they're like excited about me being born, you know, like these particular moments of like, hey, enjoy this with your kids, or take these moments and enjoy it. I just, that's what it's all about, because that's what was lost when the snap happened. What was lost was family members. What was lost was friends. What was lost was kids or parents or whatever. So in the end, we can do all this, you know, Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, mumbo jumbo of science-y, but at the end of the day, what was lost or what's gained is time and moments with your family. So this was really important.
I know for me, it was. I've heard a lot of people criticize this scene because they're like, "Oh, it's Tony excusing Howard being an absent father," and I don't think that's what it was. I feel like it was like exactly what Nerd with a Cigar said. It was full circle. It was really good writing. I thought the scene was done really well. I loved that we got the human Jarvis. That was nice.
Yep.
And one of the things I wanted to bring up is actually the Michael Douglas scene. I don't know if this is, again, I don't know if this is true. This is something I read that some insider supposedly leaked. That originally it wasn't supposed to be Michael Douglas. They were actually going to get an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Cameo, not from the show, I mean, but like a well-known agent from the comics was supposed to be in that scene, and Cap was it was supposed to be more, Cap was going to bluff his way into Pym's lab through a guard. But apparently Michael Douglas freaking loved being an Ant-Man, and so he told Kevin Feige, I'll come back for cameos, I'll play this role, I loved it. And so the Russo brothers rewrote the scene so they could put Michael Douglas in it. So I don't know if that's true. That's a story that some alleged insider leaked on Reddit. But if it is true, I think that's kind of cool that they did that, because that's a really good way to include him, especially in the comics. He's a founding Avenger, and since that's not the case in the MCU, it makes him more connected to them. So I thought that was really cool that they did that.
Definitely. Right. Any thoughts?
I'm sorry. What scene are we on?
1970.
With the Pym, where they run into Hank Pym, and then Tony meets his father.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is really cool, and yeah, like I think like Sakara said earlier, yeah, it comes full circle with that. Anyway, it's just kind of cool seeing it, because I think the last time we saw Howard Stark was like in, was that like the first Avenger?
No,
no, not that.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, Ant-Man. Duh. I totally forgot he was in that scene. First scene of the movie, but yeah, that was still really cool. Bringing him back in for Endgame, and then like him getting to basically meet like a grown-up version of his son, and even though they had a strained relationship, it was kind of fun that they basically kind of bonded, basically, because they're so much alike. Almost.
So
I just like that really much. So yeah, that's it. That's all thoughts.
All right. And so the next scene is Nebula versus Nebula, basically taking her future look and giving the Pym particles over to Thanos. Thanos has immense technological resources, so there's no doubt that he could reverse engineer the Pym particle. So that, because a lot of people are wondering, how the hell do they get the ship back and how and whatnot, and it's like, and then how did Nebula come back without the Pym particle? Well, it was reverse engineered and then given back to her. And so that basically explains that. And then we get Natasha and Clint on Vormir with the Red Skull. How the fuck do they not know who the Red Skull is? That is a major thing that they screwed up there, because it's like, we've read up on him in the freaking Hydra file. That's the Red Skull. But no, they don't even cover that, and it's not the same. And it's like, dude, he literally speaks German to her, calling her Liebchen, young one, I believe that means in, or little one, I believe that means in German. But anyway, we then see Clint versus Natasha, and Natasha is the one that makes the ultimate sacrifice. Now, there's an alternate scene where Thanos' forces actually arrive there, and she makes the run to jump off, and he ends up getting out of there because of the stone taking him away from there. So there's that. And I know it's a poignant, but we do got to keep it going because, well, if we cover every single one, yikes, we'd be here forever. So we get.
I just want to say one thing. Red Skull is free, according to the Russo brothers, in both the Infinity War and Endgame. When the Soul Stone was surrendered to the folks who arrived, he is free. So possible Red Skull return sometime.
All right, he's going to be Voldemort Red Skull then. But anyway, that's interesting though. So.
You're very repulsive.
Yeah, right. So we then see them all returning, but without Nat. And I've always wondered what happened to that bench that the Hulk chucks. Because there was actually a freaking theory. I shit you not. When he picks up that thing and just chucks it, that bench hits two people in the Marvel Universe. Frank Castle's wife and kid. Or it hit Frank Castle, and knocked him out while his wife and kid got killed.
And at this point, we should know that there's like unintended consequences for things. But Frank Castle hasn't been introduced to the MCU yet, so I was willing to ignore it. The only thing that I was like, wait a minute, because Nebula had told everybody, oh, we can find the Soul Stone on Vormir, right?
Yep.
And she knows that her sister died on Vormir, right?
Yep.
So why didn't she tell anybody, hey...
She didn't know the circumstances.
No, she did tell them. She did tell them that Gamora died, but she didn't know how Gamora died. Just that.
But like, if we're smart, and we already had Tony in this like little powwow of here's what we're gonna do. Wait a minute, how do we trade a soul for? How do we get the Soul Stone?
They don't know the circumstances.
All they know is that Gamora.
All they know is that Thanos and Gamora went to Vormir. He came back with the Soul Stone. She didn't. They don't know whether they both found it and she ended up killing him, or
but that was an oversight in my mind.
They don't They don't know the full circumstances. However, Nat figures it out.
Yeah, no, like when I was in the movie theater, I was sitting in between two chicks, and I was like, oh, Black Widow's gonna, like, I said this out loud in the theater. I was like, oh, she gonna die. I was like, she's gonna die for the Soul Stone. Natalie's gonna die, or Natasha's gonna die for the Soul Stone. And the girl next to me looked at me, and she was like, what? And I was like, bet you $5 right now, Black Widow will die so that they can get the Soul Stone. I got $5 walking out of that fucking movie. Like,
nice.
That's hilarious.
Because I was like, it was just, I don't know if it was just because, me and my friends joke that like I can just guess endings of movies, and I'm not sure if it's because movies are just predictable now, or if it's just because I'm not going to toot my own horn. I think it's just movies are predictable now. But I was like, no, she's going to die for that because it was just too convenient. I was like, oh, yeah, she's going to die because she got a full story arc. He never got a full story arc. Hawkeye never got a full story arc. So I was like, oh, she's going to die. R.I.P. R.I.P. And both of the people next to me were like, no way. And we were, just like whispering to each other. And like, no, she's going to die. And then when she launched herself off that cliff, it was just too convenient for me. I was like, there's no,
come on. Out, though, the Punisher was introduced in the MCU because at this time, the Netflix shows were considered part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Were they?
In fact, Yeah,
Yes.
in fact, they released a poster because I don't know if you remember, they did the Remember the Fallen posters where it had like
Uh-huh.
Shuri. Daredevil was one of the posters they released.
Oh,
And
okay. So Jessica Jones is technically in the MCU.
well, not
Yes.
anymore. After
And now Daredevil is being recanonized though.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
heard.
it
Daredevil
was.
is yeah.
Dang it! So
But
David
after
Tennant isn't in the
Defenders,
MCU technically.
It was
Possibly.
because Netflix didn't want to acknowledge the snap, and so that's why Daredevil season 3 and Jessica Jones season 3. It seems like they're disconnected. It's because Netflix was like, hey, we don't want to respond to the snap at all, so it's what Agents of Shield did. We're just gonna pretend like it didn't happen, and that's why they got decanonized and why Daredevil is getting a reboot.
Dang, because I thought that was a really cool juxtaposition of having the Avengers and then having the Defenders. Of like, okay, the Defenders are on the ground and the Avengers are the world protectors. I thought that was a really good juxtaposition if they had introduced that whole line to the cinematic universe. Also, David Tennant.
Yeah. All right. So we then see that we get the. I love how they're building the gauntlet, and fucking Rocket goes boom. And fucking Stark just looks at him like, "I'm gonna kill you, you little shit." So after we get the whole glove set and whatnot, or Thor wants to snap it because he wants to redeem himself. He wants to do something right. Well, unfortunately, nobody's strong enough except for the Hulk. And I looked up something before we came in. Why did the Hulk's arm get shriveled? Why did the Stark gauntlet seem flawed? The reason why this thing starts ripping into the Hulk, all that energy, is because he has his goals are twofold. One, bring back Nat. Two, bring back everybody else. We all know that you can't undo the Soul Stone sacrifice. So he is trying to force the stones to undo it. He's trying to snap the entire time. So when he has that on and it's ripping up his hand or his arm, shriveling his arm and whatnot, he's literally trying to bring back Nat. And it takes him that long to snap, but it doesn't work. And the reason why he collapses is because the stones were literally saying, you can't do that. We will not, or we cannot do it. So that is actually the reason it's speculated that it took him so long to snap, and also because of the stones reacting so violently when he put the gauntlet on. They read his intent and were like, you cannot do that. We will not let you do that because it can't be done.
Right, it's a soul for a soul. Yeah.
You try forcing the Soul Stone to undo itself, it won't work. So there's no time to celebrate after they just realized they won, because Nebula already sent Thanos' ship in, and he just immediately starts orbital bombardment, basically on the bombardment on the mansion. And everybody gets split up, and Rhodey, Rocket, and Hulk are trapped underneath. Ant-Man's going to save them. Clint finds the gauntlet, getting swarmed by Outriders, and Thanos is waiting for Stark, Cap, and Thor. And I love this because when we never covered him talking to his mom in Asgard in 2011.
I was hoping you were going to get to that.
Yes, we are going to get to that because you know what? I'm not skipping that. I do want to cover that real quick though. The scene where you see Rocket go up and get ready to stab Jane, that's actually from a deleted scene in Thor 1 or Thor 2,
Thor 2, yeah.
where she wakes up and whatnot.
Yeah, because they
second-
throw Natalie Portman in there and they give her credit in the movie, but it's just deleted scenes from
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah. Also,
It's true.
yeah. Also, I love
no
how.
work and she got still paid for it. No kidding.
Yep.
Welcome to Hollywood.
It's like
Yeah,
Or-
right. Hey, we
Thor's-
own your face. That's it.
Thor's freaking out. He's having a panic attack. Come here, right here. I just love how fucking Rocket just bitch slaps him. You think you're the only one who's lost everything? I lost the family I had. Groot, Drax, Quill, the chick with the antenna. What do you think we're doing here? And then
There's two types of pep talks. There's
Yeah.
bitch, get your shit together, and there's hey, I love you, and you're gonna get it through this. And Thor
Rocket
gets
is
both.
the Rocket.
Yes.
Rocket is the former.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Thor gets both. Rocket is the former, but he also gets what he needs because he's
From
in a
the
state
latter,
of depression. And I absolutely love the scene, not just for like mental health and whatnot, but also just for like the story.
yeah,
Like he gets both pep talks. Get your shit
And-
together, and also, hey, I love you, and you're still worthy, and it's gonna be okay.
and she also knew, or because during that thing, you understand she knows even before the attack from the Dark Elves that she was going to die.
Yeah,
Because
a witch,
she's
she can
stopping
sense
him.
it. Yeah.
She's
Yep.
stopping him. She's like, she's basically, you're here to fix your future, not mine. And you don't need to tell me, because she already knows. But also, Thor needs a certain affirmation before they go.
Mhm.
He's like,
Mhm.
wait, what am I looking at? Oh, it sometimes takes a
Absolutely.
second. And when Mjolnir comes to him, it's like, you got it. You are
That
back.
smile on his face of
I'm
I'm
still
still
worthy.
worthy. Oh, like that's what he needed, and that
Yes.
made like the fight between him and
Thanos.
and like the group fight between him and Thanos and Cap like just means so much more to
Yep.
me.
And you know what's interesting about that scene was they actually wanted what's his name who played Odin? Why am I blanking? Brilliant actor.
Anthony Hopkins.
Thank you. They actually wanted Anthony Hopkins to come back, and he gave them a flat no. They wanted him for that scene, and he told them no. He said, "I've done my contract. I'm not coming back." He's since then he's talked crap about it, but that's why they got her.
I
But
mean,
in
it's
my
Anthony
opinion-
Hopkins though. He's like
Oh, sure, he's a great actor. I'm not criticizing his talent at all. But that's why they brought the mom back, and in my opinion, it ended up being better because he was
Correct.
able to have this. He wasn't able to save his mom, and it was kind of like Stark talking to Howard or Tony talking to Howard. It was a good roundabout. So you got the father figure from Tony. He was able to reconcile with him in a way, and then you had Thor with his mom, who he still felt guilt over not being able to save. I think that worked out well in this film.
I agree with you because he already kind of got a goodbye with his dad in Thor Ragnarok when they were sitting on the edge of the cliff and he was given a goodbye to his sons. He got a goodbye with his dad. He didn't get a goodbye with his mom. So getting a goodbye with his mom in this film gave him the closure that he needed.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that scene a lot. Even though I don't like the Dark World, I do like that scene
Yeah.
with Thor and his mom. So
Also love love the other thing she says, and eat a salad. It's like, really?
Because at the end of her like comforting him, she gave him the okay, come on, like get your shit back together. Like
go to the gym.
right, like and like he already got the get your shit together from Rocket or from Ratchet, whatever you know.
Yeah.
He needed that love from his mom, and there's nothing like, you know, you can have a good relationship with your father, but like having the relationship with that I have with my mom, there's nothing like a mother's comfort to kind of give you hope and expectation for the future, and that's exactly the kick that he needed. So yeah, maybe it's disappointing that Anthony Hopkins wouldn't come back, but in the context of the story that we were given, it was perfect that he saw his mom. Yeah, does that, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes. CJ just contacted me on email. She can't make it because her sickness has gotten a little bit worse. So prayers out to CJ to feel better. And
poor CJ.
it's totally understandable, CJ. Your health is more important.
Well, CJ, if you're watching
Well, I wouldn't go
this,
that far. No, just kidding. It is.
Yeah. So with that, they finally get back and catching back up to it. I love how he's like, what happened? When you mess with time, time tends to mess back. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. Now, when Thor calls both to him, if you pay close attention, you see his stomach shrink inward. So when he's channeling both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, his body reverts back to its ultimate prime, its prime state.
That was such a cool scene.
And yes, let's kill him properly this time.
His pulling both, and then he gets his suit back on, and he's got his beard. I liked that final form of Thor, or not, I guess not final form because we see Love and Thunder, but his final form where his beard is braided and he gets his suit back on and he's wielding both. Just because he's overweight doesn't mean he doesn't have the power of Thor.
This is all Father Thor, or I would call this all Father Thor.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
He is more ornate with that, or with the braided beard, as well as
it felt
powers.
more Norse. It felt more genuine. He had already been through everything that he had been through, and he was more serious. He's like, all right, let's get down to fucking business. Let's get this shit done. When I saw that, him coming in and him wielding both, and the lightning and the eyes, I was like, let's go. And Thor is my favorite Avenger, and so I was like, let's go, Thor, yeah.
Because and also when they actually start to attack, if you notice Thor swinging at him, he's going for the head every time. He is going for Thanos' fucking head because he's learned there's only one way to kill this bastard. And Thanos, he's like, you could not live with your own failure. And where does that bring you? Back to me. Great line. And so we then get the fight going on. The Outriders are still chasing Clint, and Gamora and Nebula from the future team up because it didn't take Gamora too much convincing because we already know that she was already on the path to betraying Thanos. So they end up killing the younger Nebula, who is strictly pro-Thanos at this point. And, the reason why she wanted to, or Ronan was essential at turning her against Thanos when he uses the power, or when he takes the Power Stone. So this is a Nebula that is purely in her father's camp. He won't let me, so she's going to try killing her future self. No, boom, she gets killed. And so we then see Tony Stark's suit in greater action, where he had he learned from Avengers 1. Okay, Thor, hit me. Well, if his original suit could take a 475% capacity charge from Thor's lightning, imagine what his other suit can do when it's properly channeling that lightning and turning it up to a few 1,000%. But however, Thanos is able to kick the shit out of everybody. And when Mjolnir gets tossed a distance away, when we see that hammer rising, I'm like, I know where this is going. And so when it returns to Captain, I'm like, yep.
My theater went crazy, or at least there was
Same.
like there wasn't like a wah, shout, but there was definitely a reaction from the theater. And the foundation of this was laid in Age of Ultron, where he's able to move it just a hair. And like, I don't know if you know, like that scene where they're all sitting
Yeah.
around drinking and he moves it just a hair.
Yep.
Cap has been through a lot more, and just knowing the comics where he's able to wield it, I'm like, let's freaking go,
Because,
and especially later when he's like, no, you have the little one, I want
Yeah.
Stormbreaker. So even after he realizes he's still worthy, he wants the bigger one because he realizes, like, no, I like this weapon better,
Yeah.
and like a D&D player myself, I'm like, there are some really cool weapons that I like, but this particular one I like, and I'll give it to the people that are, my co-players who are with me. I'm like, hey, you can have this weapon or whatever, and I give it to them. So I thought that was very cool, that dynamic. But no, that it was just a great scene and a great fulfillment of a seed that was planted back in Age of Ultron, of like, yeah, Cap has done enough that he's now worthy.
Mm-hmm. And that is something. Also, if you notice the lightning, when Thor uses lightning, it's very thick. It's a very thick bolt. When Captain America is channeling lightning, it's more spindly, which is meaning he has the power, yes, but it's not to the greater power of Thor, because Thor doesn't need the hammers to channel lightning. He is a god of lightning. Thunder. He is a god of thunder and whatnot. So yes.
And that's what I liked about Ragnarok, where Hera was like, when he's fighting Hera and he remembers.
Yeah.
You're not the god of hammers.
Hela. Yeah.
Hela. Sorry. Yeah.
Thor, god of hammers?
Right. No, I just mixed theologies here. He's fighting Hela, and he remembers that moment with his dad where he's like, You're not the god of hammers, you're the god of thunder. And he's like, with his eyes, because we don't get the eyes glowing with Cap. Like, he gets the power of Mjolnir, or
of Thor.
Of Thor, but he doesn't get the full
not the godlyhood.
Like, yeah, he doesn't get the like, I'm gonna mess you up. Like, I don't know. Thor's my favorite, so that's why I love that scene.
But one thing I do like is how he fights smart with it. He throws his shield, realizes he can't call his shield back, so he throws Mjolnir to hit the shield, and it knocks Thanos forward because Mjolnir and the shield create the reverberation effect.
Yeah.
Which they did in Age of Ultron. And that is such a great thing, because he's then just going full on after Thanos, but Thanos does get the upper hand. And then
it was a satisfying fight scene.
Oh, yeah. Even though he gets his ass kicked. And he does end up losing, and also the Uru blade is enough to cut through vibranium, we learn. So he then tells him, he's like, of all my time of conquest and violence and slaughter, it was never personal. But what I'm going to do to your annoying, miserable little planet, I'm going to enjoy it very, very much. Well, Cap gets up, basically getting ready to do the whole, I could do this all day. Except that he gets interrupted. Cap, do you read me? Cap? It's Sam, do you read me? On your left. And we see the wizard circles. And folks, when it's building up all of the Avengers theme in full orchestra glory, this is like, oh, fuck, dude. You're seeing everybody. Ravagers, the Asgardians who just got brought back, freaking everybody including those who got dusted in the first movie. Even frickin' Howard the Duck is there.
Yeah.
Because he comes through when Wasp comes through that little piece or that little portal from San Francisco or wherever. And
I loved this scene because I was like, yes, let's frickin' go.
Because Thanos is bringing up his army, or brought up his army, getting ready to go forward too. And it's like, oh shit. So when we
because
get
we're fighting the Thanos that didn't have to kill Gamora to get the Soul Stone. We're fighting the we're not fighting the Thanos that got his head chopped off. We're fighting the Infinity War Thanos. And it was very, I don't know, like the buildup was great. And also having sat through like a 4-hour long movie, I was like, okay, this is where I can drink the rest of my cola. Like that's when all of these portals opened, I was like, oh, okay, I can drink the rest of my soda so I don't have to pee later. This is great.
Yeah. So when we then get the famous line, Avengers assemble. And then we get the charge and it's like, dude, fucking yes. Also, freaking Rhodey has the upgraded Patriot armor, which is great. And a lot of people thought it was the War Machine armor. No, that's a red and blue. That's the Patriot armor. And it really is a great scene where everybody is kicking ass, and we get the nice reunions of Stark and Pete. And it's like, oh, this is nice. And then we get Quill and past Gamora, where he gets kneed in the nuts. And it's like, it was either him or Trey. Thanks to Nebula, apparently Gamora and Quill don't get together in Guardians 3 because fucking Nebula's a bitch.
I would disagree with that. I'm not saying that you're right, they don't get together, but I wouldn't say it was Nebula's fault.
Yeah,
well,
honestly, like Gamora is essentially reset in Endgame, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that she's reset, but there's still a chance that they could have found each other back, or found their ways back into each other's arms.
I don't know, because they didn't go through the same stuff that they had went through before, so there's no way to recreate those memories, and those specific memories brought them together. And I'm not a super sappy romantic person, so I was okay with it. I don't know.
Alrighty. But anyway, then they're playing keep away with the gauntlet, because the gauntlet has been found by everybody, and they're like, Cap, what do I do with this damn thing? Get the stones as far away as possible. No, we have to get it back where they came from. No can do. Thanos destroyed the quantum tunnel. Wait, that's not our only time machine. Does anybody see an ugly gray van out there? Yes, but you're not going to like where it's parked. How did it survive the bombardment? That's my question. How did it survive the bombardment? But anyway, when they are going to, when they're actually heading towards the, when they're shrunk and heading towards the van, there's a shot where you see Ant-Man forcing a freaking Chitauri Leviathan through a portal. So it's like, oops. Because I'm thinking to myself, is Pym here? Is Pym here? Because that's the only way I'm seeing this happening. It is like a super huge mistake. But then we also see Thanos coming forward, and, well, who drops in and is so pissed off her eyes are glowing red. I'm like, oh, fuck, this bitch is about to go psycho. Because she's like, you took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. I love that line. So it's like, you will. And she just starts ripping his armor off piece by piece, breaking his bones slowly. It's like, oh, shit, she's going to slaughter him. Rain fire. But, sir, our troops, just do it. I'm about to die here. So this whole fucking battle, folks, is freaking nuts. And then we get Captain Marvel coming in for the save. But before we do, what did you all think of Wanda coming back, full-blown psychopath? Vengeance Wanda, who is the real strongest Avenger, mind you. Not that bullshit for Carol Danvers. But what did you all think? Kate, go.
I was ready for her to come back and fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
That was me, because she's lost her twin, she's lost her lover, she's lost, the war, and just like going back to the last Avengers movie where she comes in and we get that comment, why wasn't she here the whole time? Having her in the battle on the Avengers side really does make a difference, because in the comics they kind of weakened her in the movies and stuff, but in the comics she can change probabilities. So like if you're sitting there with a 0.00001% chance of spontaneous combustion, she can turn that up to a 99.9% and you're just going to spontaneously combust. Her powers are amazing. And they've really weakened her, so I didn't expect her to just come in and just, because honestly, if they put her in and she just came in, she could destroy everybody, everyone. And having her in the game really changes the dynamic. And this whole fight scene, much like the first Avengers, where the first 45 minutes to an hour is just build up, the satisfaction of the fight scenes and like how they play it out is I don't know. I was fully set. Like once they opened the portals and all of the fighting started happening, I was like, let's go. We know we're gonna win. So I don't know. I was like a little kid in a candy shop when this whole, like, since the fight scene between the trio of Thor, Iron Man, and Cap fighting Thanos till the portals open till the end of the fight scene, I was like a kid in a candy shop the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time.
This is like the fight is freaking awesome. Like,
I mean, this is the culmination of the entire MCU in one movie, and cinematically, peak. They did a really good job.
Yeah. And so then we get raining fire and they all start throwing up shields. And they suddenly stop and they turn their guns up and they start shooting into the sky. Friday, what are they shooting at? Something just entered the upper atmosphere. Like, she's very urgent saying this, and we know, or at first it's like, wait, what are they shooting? Oh shit, that's right, she hasn't come in yet. So then Carol comes in, wipes out the ship, or Thanos' ship. Doctor Strange is using the wands of Watum to keep the lake from spilling in. And he's also told Stark, if I tell you what's going to happen, it won't happen. Because we all know what has to happen. And he's absolutely right. If you tell Stark, you're going to sacrifice yourself to save us all, Stark won't do it. He would try to look for the out. So
I don't know, because in the first Avengers movie, he straight up takes the nuke into the wormhole, right?
Yes, he does. But he's also, or that was him on impulse. He would try to find a way out because he wants his daughter to live and he wants to see his daughter grow up. Every parent would do that.
Right, but if somebody said, hey, you have to die in order to save your daughter, he would have done it.
Oh, definitely. So when she comes in, then it's like, Danvers, we need an assist here. And so she comes in, he's like, or Parker activates instant kill and all that stuff, which was nice. But when we get how do all the women show up in the same spot, folks? I'm sorry. I am sorry. No. I am with everybody else. It's like, did their periods sync? What the fuck is going on here?
It was stupid. I literally groaned in the movie theater.
Can I throw something out there though in
ahead.
defense of this scene? Knowing what I know now about Disney, I don't trust that this was the situation. But in the movie theater, now granted, I'm high on popcorn, soda, and I think I had cotton candy, and I'm really enjoying the movie so far. There is an Avengers storyline in the comics called the Victorious Valkyries, where Valkyrie takes command of all the female Avengers, and they go like on this solo mission. In the theater, in the moment, I went, oh my gosh, what a great callback to that story arc. Like I said, knowing what I know now about Disney, I don't think that's what they were doing. But for me, in the moment, that was my reaction to it. Maybe it was naive, but just in that moment, that's what I pictured was that comic. I didn't immediately go to, oh yeah, Slay Queen, girl boss, like they do now. But
The event, the directors admitted it was agenda driven.
Oh yeah, I know that.
In the commentary,
I literally
I'm just saying, in
rolled
the
and
moment in the
groaned
theaters,
in
that's
the
what I was
theaters.
thinking.
I didn't
did the eye
notice
roll
it
in
because
theaters,
you know it's kind of like it just kind of like it happened for like a quick moment, but yeah, like it's gotten far worse. I will admit that. So
It
It
has
was a
gotten far
30-second
worse.
scene in a 3.5 hour movie, so I try not to spill tea or
But here's the thing.
cry over spilled milk over that. But
But
yeah,
also,
here's-
like, I don't. It's one of those Mary Sue situations where we're gonna try to appease women by putting them all together, and isn't this girl boss moment? And it's like, I don't need to be appeased. I was perfectly happy seeing Cap, Thor, and Captain America beating the shit / getting the shit beat out of them by Thanos. And those were 4 dudes fighting it out, duking it out. And I was a kid in a candy shop. Once they put all of these women together, and like it ruined the moment for me.
well, here's the thing. I'm gonna first off address the thing. It's like the director said, well, we wanted all the women to show what they could do. You did 20 fucking 1 movies where they already showed you what they can do, where they were all great at it too.
Yeah.
As I have said throughout these streams, folks, in each movie, the female characters have their moments to shine. And if it wasn't for the female characters, the female co-leads or supports, the heroes would have failed. Who killed Obadiah Stane? Pepper Potts. Who helped the Hulk get the rage he needed to stop Blonsky?
Even in this movie, we have Black Widow leading everybody and kind of taking charge. Everybody's reporting to her in the beginning of the movie. We get female girl bosses throughout this film.
Yes.
We don't need pandering to.
Now get this. Also, this whole situation where all the women synced up their periods and had Slay Queen moment would have fucked the universe. If Captain Marvel went through that quantum tunnel with the gauntlet, they would have lost. She doesn't know where to go. She doesn't know where to return them, what time to return them. She doesn't have a freaking GPS or a temporal GPS. If she would have flown into that damn quantum tunnel, the universe loses. I'm sorry. So Thanos actually.
Well, maybe not, because then she would be gone.
Well, yes, but
yeah, I know, but you know what? It's not okay. It's not about it's not about female power. It's more like about female superiority, I suppose. And basically, to achieve that, you have to put down the men and stuff like that. It wasn't happening as much in Endgame or whatever. It happened a little bit in Captain Marvel, but yeah, basically, that's what
they reduced her
Disney
role significantly in this, and also kicked her ass too.
It just seemed like. Okay, if you think that women need to be pacified by having this girl moment of all of their periods syncing up and they're all in the same place at the same time, we already know that the Wakandan women who are defending the king are badass. We've already seen that. We already know that
Oh no,
Like,
but it has
all-
to be like all women are automatically friends and stuff like that, and they all know where each other are at every moment in time.
But
We've got a
it's
telepathic connection.
right. But it just seems like, okay, if you have to pacify women, it's a detriment to women. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Oh,
saying
yeah.
like, oh, well, okay, because like we have to make women feel better. Like, no, you didn't have to make me feel better. I was already happy with the entire scene until you did that, and now I feel like you're downgrading me because I have to be pacified because now there's women on screen. No. I was perfectly happy with 4 dudes on screen duking it out. I didn't need that. And now you've made me feel like lesser than because I haven't seen women this whole time. I don't know. Every time I feel pacified, it makes me feel like you think that I'm lesser than. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so then we get the quantum tunnel is destroyed. And let me get back to the talking points because I believe this is the final gasp. But let's see here. Tony's choice because Thanos is going after the gauntlet. So Thor and Cap are trying to get the gauntlet, stop Thanos, and they get knocked down. Tony steps in, he gets his ass knocked down. Captain Marvel gets in, gets her freaking licks in, starts grabbing it, or before he could snap, she gets thrown off, and then she comes in again to start it again, and she's actually drawing on the power from the gauntlet because she's actually because the channeling power. And so when he actually goes to headbutt her, it doesn't work, and she's like, "Rrr," and it's like, huh? But when she actually gets up to hit him, he grabs the power stone and slugs her out. There's a clip out there, folks, where of this scene where he punches her with the power stone and she lands, and then you see freaking Chris Tucker. You got knocked the fuck out. It's so fucking hilarious. And so then he pops it back in, and while this is happening, Stark looks over at Doctor Strange, and Strange does this because he can't close his hand all the way, but he shows him the one choice. And Tony now understands, okay, there is no choice now. So he grabs the gauntlet and stops him from snapping. And while he's doing this, his nanotech is actually siphoning the stones to him. So when Thanos kicks him away, Tony has the stones, and he's like, I'm inevitable. What?
Tony has the stones.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, that line went hard. It was like
Sorry,
I
had to.
I
hey.
am Iron Man. Now, there's a deleted scene, folks, where he actually talks to Morgan in the Soul Stone from the future.
Huh?
And
ooh, is this in like the DVD version?
It's a deleted scene. It was unreleased deleted scene, I believe, where Morgan actually tells him, I will be okay. I will be all right without you.
Aw, that's cute.
And it's
Tears.
an adult, yeah. And it's like, oh shit. Because he honestly doesn't recognize her at first. He's like, do I know you? And then she starts basically cueing him in, and he's like, Morgan. So then it cuts out to Rocket about to get eaten by a freaking Leviathan, except that it dusts. And everything else dusts. Now, Okoye, one of the Wakandan Dora Milaje bald women, she actually killed, from the Black Order, Ant-Man kills Black Dwarf, the big one, by stepping on him. Okoye kills Corvus Glaive, and the other two were not killed. But Proxima Midnight, when they were getting dusted, was actually holding her husband's corpse. And Corvus or Ebony Maw is going up like, "Sire, I'm dying here." And it's like, so when you're seeing everything getting dusted, it was Tony Stark's wish in this snap that Thanos be the last one to die, so that he can witness all of his effort become dust. And that is why he is the last one to die.
Nice,
And that is why he also survives so long before he dusts. And and then we see him then we see Stark pass on but not before Rescue Potts says, "Tony, look at me." And in his last moment, she tells him, "We're going to be okay. You can rest now." And because he realized, I have just did this for my daughter. It wasn't for the universe. He did this for his daughter, knowing that she would be safe. He can now rest.
Mm.
And that is what
Which
makes
means
it
a
even
lot
more
more.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, which means more.
This scene also shows why Rhodey should not have been a fucking Skrull. Because when he lands...
There's a lot of reasons why.
Yeah, but when he lands next to Tony, that is... I don't care what the fucking Marvel says. That is Rhodey. Rhodey would know there's
Phase 4
nothing
doesn't
real to
exist.
say. Exactly. Rhodey would know there's nothing to say. But he also knows that his friend's about to die. And Peter is broken up because, one of his mentors is about to die. But man, that is so freaking great. Also, there's another deleted scene where everybody starts kneeling because Tony died, including Captain Marvel. And it's like, not understanding the kneeling bit, but okay.
Yeah, okay, that's probably good it wasn't kept in, because it's just like, okay, everyone's randomly kneeling, okay, why?
Well,
maybe like
respect of a comrade's fall.
No, but like he should have saluted him instead of kneeling.
No, everybody knelt.
Ugh, he's not
Everybody
a god.
did.
Yeah, that's like
Calm
super
down.
weird.
Calm down, he's
Okay,
not God.
because not
No,
everyone's
they all
in the
took
military.
a knee. They all took just one knee. Yeah.
That would have.
Yeah, but not everyone
to me,
in the Avengers are in the military. So it's like everyone just randomly kneeling is kind of like.
I think that would have. Yeah, that deludes the funeral sequence. So I'm glad they cut that. In my opinion, I think that would have.
Yeah, the funeral scene.
Even if it's not like a bow, like you're saying, they took a knee out of respect. I still think that would have diluted the funeral scene.
Yeah. And so we see that Clint has returned home to his wife and kids. Peter returns to school and realizes that Ned was snapped too because they're the same age. We see the Lang family with the fireworks up in the sky, Wakanda, and Tony's last testament to his family and friends and daughter, where he's talking, or where they use his helmet to display his last message. And his last words being, "I love you 3000" to his daughter. And he actually looks directly at his daughter, which is pretty cool in that recording. So then we see the chess piece brought out from Iron Man 1, the Mark II chess piece. Proof that Tony Stark has a heart. And they cycle through all the characters. And we even see, what's his name, from Iron Man 3, the kid who helped him, is also there. He's older now. Yeah. But it is really such a great scene. And
it is. I was like bawling my eyes out in the theater.
I felt old when I saw that. I was like, dang, he's that old now? Jeez.
Yeah, right?
I won't deny that I won't deny that I was teary. I did not cry. However, there was a lot of people in my theater, grown freaking men crying, which I do not fault them. I
I cried.
When you've been watching the MCU since Iron Man 1, like most of us who had
Yeah.
seen Endgame, you get it.
I mean, I cried.
That's why I thought that this movie was a really, before Phase 4, they did a really good job with this movie as far as like completing all the storylines and making it, because I've been watching this since middle school.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
to
I've
complete
been
it
watching
all.
this. I've been watching this. I think like I think I came into this probably like I'd say like 2010. Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah,
you
yeah,
would've been, what,
2010.
11?
No, yeah, I was 10 years old.
10, 11, yeah.
Yeah. Baby
So,
brother was just born. Like,
so we also
Yes.
see that the Pyms are also there. The Pym and Lang family are there, which is also significant because Pym hated Stark. He never trusted Stark. He didn't
Yeah.
trust the Stark family. He hated everything about him. But they showed up because they respected Stark's sacrifice and whatnot and what it meant. And then at the end, we also see Clint and Wanda together because they both have a permanent loss. Vision is gone for good, or until WandaVision, but he's then White Vision. So, and but
Corpse Vision.
yeah, and then also Nat is permanently gone. So they both know they can share that loss. And then Thor is leaving. He has his gut back. He's fat again. And he leaves it to lets Valkyrie be king of Asgard. And he goes off with the Asgardians, or the Guardians, rather, of the galaxy. And we see Quill is looking for Gamora because it's like, well, he's back and she disappeared. So, but she wasn't dusted because, well, she wasn't part of Thanos' crew. And we then get the, or that scene, it's funny, yes, but we are skipping it. Getting the stones back to their time period. This should have been its own fucking series, or at least an animated series, because I would love to have seen Captain America returning these stones. Here you go, Ancient One. Then get into 2014. I'm really sorry about this, Jane. Stab. Freaking Soul Stone. Well, this is fucking awkward. You. I could just see that happening with the Red Skull. You. What else?
I don't think that Chris was ready to be in another thing. I think he was just done after
but
this.
we're gonna get to that. But just 1 second out. Freaking waking up next to Chris or Pratt. Hey, wake up! This is yours. And what else? What else? The Mind Stone. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this next to my unconscious self. And that universe is already screwed up, dude. But and I think that's all 6, right? Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Anyway, he goes and he doesn't come back. He also takes back Mjolnir because he has to give that back to 2011. Now, the impossible happens. He took the long way. That is impossible, and here's why, folks. When you go and change the past, you have entered a branch reality. 1, there are 2 Captain Americas in that past now. There's the Steve that is staying with Peggy, and there's the Steve Rogers that has become, or that is still in the ice. One of those Rogers is not going to wake up until 2011, 2012. And the other Steve Rogers is going to be with Peggy and grow up to look like Joe Biden. He does. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I
just like
I thought
fucking Joe Biden. And
like, and especially because I just watched the Flash movie like yesterday. Like,
yeah,
yes, please keep going.
yeah. We're not going to talk about that. But yeah, it doesn't work because you entered a branch reality that doesn't lead to this result.
And especially because they just introduced like multiverses and like time travel now. And
Exactly.
It's like, you just messed up your own fucking timeline, bro, just by being there.
I don't think that's what happened here. If I can,
Go
I think what he he did was when he returned the to where they stole it from Pym, the Tesseract. So that would be the Space Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, there's this theory. I don't know if this is true or not, but he went to that world, and that's where he reconnected with Peggy. So, and then he used the Space Stone to send himself back to that reality when, because she gets dementia.
Yeah.
And so knows to leave before when she gets diagnosed, because then his younger self is going to come back. So it wasn't that he took the long way. It was he used an instrument to get back to where his home dimension.
Except that doesn't work because the Space Stone does not traverse you through to other universes.
That we know of. But no, I see what you're saying.
It doesn't.
Well, either way, the point is, supposedly he used a third instrument to get back. It wasn't that he took the long way. It was that he just returned to that.
It also contradicts the writing, or the writers and the directors.
Well, I'm just saying that's what I heard.
So also that may be what you heard, but that definitely ain't correct. But we also see that he gives the shield to Falcon instead of to the only other super soldier there that actually gets it before the Falcon. Believe it or not, Bucky does do a stint as as Captain America before Falcon becomes Cap in the comics, as well as Clint. He also becomes Captain America for a small spell. And he actually can throw it better than all of them, except for Cap.
So does Frank Castle.
Holy shit, I would fear that one. But
yeah. Oof.
I mean, there's this nice moment, and then we see him back in the past dancing with Peg. Now, the end of the credits, did you guys watch all the way through the credits?
I did.
So you heard the hammer and anvil.
Yep.
Which was a call back all the way to 2008 in that cave.
Yep.
And that is the end of Avengers Endgame. And I think that they did a very good job with the hammer and anvil in the cave, because it brings it back all the way back to the first one, reminding you this is how it started. That's
how they love us 3000.
Yep.
I think that I don't know if Disney necessarily thought this, but I think the Russo brothers and maybe even Kevin Feige to some extent knew it was the end. Most movie fads last about a decade. The MCU made it last 12 years, so they broke the record, but they knew it was over. They knew that I honestly, like I said, I don't think necessarily Disney, maybe not even Ike Perlmutter at the time, thought it was over. But I think that whenever, especially with the callback, there's no end credit. It's the hammer. You do that in the final episode of a TV show. Not that the MCU is a TV show, but I really felt like the Russo brothers, Kevin Feige, all the original writers, because they were still left over from Paramount at the time. They were like, "This is it. This is the end of this franchise." Hence why it's called, because originally it's called Avengers Infinity War Part 2. They changed the name to Endgame, which that tells me they thought that this was it. This was going to be the end.
I can actually agree with Christian Freitz here. Far From Home, Nowhere Home, or No Way Home, and Guardians 3 are the only epilogues that he considers canon. I haven't
I agree
seen
with that.
Amen.
I haven't seen Guardians 3, but I
It's actually
will
not bad.
I will check it out eventually. But I can I do actually like Far From Home and No Way Home. I think that they're actually pretty good. To a degree. So yes, I do agree with that, Christian. And so how would we all rate it out of 10 going from, or ladies first, we'll go with Riot first.
As for me, I guess I'm not. I remember, I guess I'm not as harsh towards Endgame as I know some people are. Not you guys, but like, yeah, like I've seen some people being towards Endgame. I honestly like this movie. Like, you know, I'd say a strong beginning, strong finale, probably weak middle. That's what I'd say this is. Obviously, there's some cringe stuff, female superiority, blah blah. But yeah, obviously it gets way worse down the end. So I look back on that and I'm like, you know what? That's not that bad, I guess. So I would probably give this movie a 7 out of 10. Obviously, there's consistency issues. Like, yeah, like as Orange Head has said, it broke their own rules a bit. And then, yeah, but I did really like this. I put it in the same camp as I put Endgame in the same camp as like Dragon Ball GT. You know what? They're not perfect, but you know, I felt like this was unending. Like it was like just a very nice, solid ending to the MCU. Yeah, I love the final battle. Like, there's so much fan service for the people who've been watching the MCU for years, like from the very beginning. So I'd honestly put this movie at a 7 out of 10. Not perfect, but you know what? Strong start, strong end, bit of a weak middle, and yeah, that's how I feel about this movie. Like, you know, like that is the end, and that's why, even though, like, you know, like yeah, it's continued. Like, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I just felt like this was the end. I didn't need to see anymore, just like with Dragon Ball GT. And that is all my thoughts on it.
All right, Kate.
As far as like cinematic moviegoer, you know, objective, it would be a solid 9.5 out of 10. It was very exciting from beginning to end. Personally, just like from breaking canon and breaking lore that they had already set up in the universe, I would say 8 out of 10. But like overall, solid movie. But yeah, there are flaws in it, as far as breaking continuity, breaking canon. But as like, it's still enjoyable to watch even now. Like ignoring Phase Bore afterwards and the things that they set up afterwards. It tied up a lot of things that needed to be tied up. It gave a peaceful resolution to a lot of things. It gave really good character arcs for certain characters that needed character arcs, like Tony Stark had a great character arc from beginning to end. Yeah, that would be my rating. It was like 9.5 if we're talking about just moviegoer experience, but like personally, maybe 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, that's where I would go with that.
All right, Jacob.
I give it a solid 9. Primarily, I will admit that it's from my theater experience. Like I said, I had a great a theater audience to watch it with. Everyone was well behaved. It was fantastic. I was blown away by it. The Yeah, I do agree there are flaws with it, but I agree with Riot. I tend to say I look at it as, yes, there's this cringe scene here, or yes, there's a couple of lore breaks, but overall, I had a good experience watching it. I do think it's a solid finale to the MCU as we know it, and I really think that it had such great scenes, great callbacks. We talked about the Sam calling back to Winter Soldier, Cap on your left, or on your right. There's another one thing that I thought was really, really good was when Thanos realizes when he sees his minions being dusted away, and then he sits down. That was a great callback to Infinity War when he tells Thor, defeat, it's something else, isn't it? Makes your legs feel like jelly. And just that, and then he sees himself be defeated and he sits down because he can't stand. And just moments like that really sell it for me. And that's why I give it a solid 9 out of 10. Just really made the nerd in me, the 12-year-old me who watched Avengers United They Stand, Spider-Man Unlimited, and all those Fox Kids Marvel shows. It really made me excited, and I enjoyed it a great deal.
All righty. As for me, objectively, without bias, 7 out of 10. This film has its inconsistencies. It has its flaws. It has its acting and writing problems. It has its contradictions. It has all that. Subjectively, this film is around an 8.5 to a 9. I enjoy it. It's entertainment. There are 2 scenes that I would have trimmed and cut out completely. Honestly, I didn't see any real need to show them. I mean, that Hulk, I'm sorry, as a Hulk fan, Hulk fucking doing the dab is not something I ever want to see again.
Yeah.
As for moviegoer, meaning entertainment value alone, this movie is entertaining, 9.5. However, there was times where I'd be like, okay, this is dragging on a bit. What the fuck? And that's about it. So, yeah, this movie is entertaining. I enjoyed it. Now, before we get going, folks, this is the end of Infinity Saga Sundays. Next week is the Book of Wick Sundays. And I have all 4 of the chapters with different quotes.
Talk.
And you stole my car. Then we got chapter 2. Nice. Whoever comes, whoever it is, I'll kill them. I'll kill them all. And then we have number 3, I will serve, I will be of service. That is a line that was carried in the movie quite a lot. And the 4th, Winston, will you take me home? So John Wick is going to be the movie series for the Hat Crew. Anybody, or how many of you want in?
I'm in.
I cannot be in. I've started school semester, obviously, and so hope you guys have fun.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, let me get back to you. I'm finishing up my book once, and so I may not be able to commit because of my day job. Sundays and Saturdays are pretty much when I work on my novels. So I'm not sure. I want to really get these 2 projects I'm working on completed, but I'll get back to you and let you know.
All righty. So it's definitely me and Kate, who is retaining her Hat Crew status, and Jake is a maybe. If anybody else wants to join the Hat Crew for the Wick conversations, hit me up on Twitter. I will also be posting about it on Twitter. If you want to be part of the Hat Crew for those Sunday night discussions, let me know. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Is there anything that anybody would like to plug? Riot or Jake?
Well, I'm Riot Kitty. I'm not called. I'm Real Lady Thor for these live streams. I have a YouTube channel where I mainly talk about writing, art, and design. It's slow going on content as I've recently started back up school again, but I hope to get out a sketch video where I will be sketching Mato Kuroi from the Black Rock Shooter OVA. And just talking about Black Rock Shooter in that video as I sketch her out. I'm also working on a rewrite of the show Ruby made by Rooster Teeth Animations, which is under Warner Brothers. So I hope to be starting back up that project again as well. Thank you everybody for being here on MCU discussions. So take it away, Jake. Yes, you want to plug anything?
I plugged my YouTube channel earlier, so I won't rehash that. But I just want to say, like Riot did, thank you everyone for watching MCU Sundays. This has been fun. I wish I could have gone on every Sunday, but my work schedule prevented that. But I had a blast on all the ones I did, and it's really good. I had a blast talking about all the films, and I was happy to be here in the finale discussing Avengers Endgame.
Alrighty, and with that, folks, thank you so much to Geek Detective Pierce, Christopher Freites, Keely Chow. Who else? Happy Dino and Vanya for joining us in the chat. Y'all are freaking amazing and beautiful people. If you are catching this on the replay, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of Avengers Endgame? Did you like it? Did you not? What are your thoughts on all the topics we covered? Anyway, thank you all so much for checking it out. This has been Orange Hat Reviews and the Hat Crew. You all have a wonderful night, and always remember, stay humble.
Bye.